Christmas Eve in Denver, Colorado, but you never know it. It is warm, it is beautiful, and we are at Mile High Stadium for the New Orleans Saints and the Denver Broncos. And hello, everybody. My name is Joe Buck, along with my partner, Tim Green. A happy Christmas Eve to you, sir.
Merry Christmas.
Now, the Denver Broncos come into this game without John Elway. He'll be replaced by backup Hugh Millen today. They come in without any momentum. They won 4 straight to get back into the playoff picture. Now they've lost 2 in a row. This is a very disappointed Denver team.
Yeah, well, it's disappointing because of the expectations that this team had early in the season. Now, they went out in the free agent market. They spent a lot of time and a lot of money. They made some trades. They felt like they put in the missing pieces that they needed to surround John Elway. And owner Pat Bowlen predicted that this team would see the Super Bowl this year. That's not going to happen, and the fans and the players really expected much more.
Now, with a win here today, the New Orleans Saints could end up with a record of 7-9. Not that great, but when you hang around them, they're an upbeat team, almost like a playoff team.
Well, once again, you have to look at the expectations of this team. They came into the season with a new quarterback in Jim Everett, in a new system. They were relying on a lot of younger players like Mario Bates, Irv Smith, Torrance Small. Those players have picked it up, and this team, Joe, reminds me of the Dallas Cowboys, the year they were 7-9 before they turned the corner and became an NFL power. Now, even though Jim Everett does have a bad elbow today, the Saints, no question, have the emotional edge.
It is absolutely gorgeous, as we told you. 59 degrees, sunny. Minor winds here in Denver, Colorado, and we are ready to go. The Denver Broncos will kick off. New Orleans won the toss. They receive. Jason Elam getting ready to kick it away for the Broncos, and we're underway. From inside his 5, it's Tyrone Hughes. Oh, what a hit by Alan Aldridge. That's no way to spend Christmas Eve. He almost had his head taken off.
So much for the emotional edge.
Oh, wow.
No one told Aldridge that he didn't have the emotional edge. Look at that. I mean, that's the classic clothesline hit. That's the way to welcome somebody to Mile High Stadium.
Wow. That almost took not only the helmet off the head of Tyrone Hughes, but the head off his shoulders. He's all right, fortunately, and the Saints set up. 1st and 10 in the hand to Mario Bates. He trips up, got back to the line of scrimmage, and we'll give you a look at the New Orleans offense led by quarterback Jim Everett, who, if he can throw for 205 yards today, will set a single-season passing yardage record. He'll break the record set by Archie Manning back in 1980. Protected by this offensive line. The running backs behind Everett, Bates, and Neal. The wide receivers, Early and Haynes, and the tight end, Irv Smith. On 2nd and 10, Bates tries out the left side. Positive yards. He got it out to the 20. Brought down by Mike Kroll, a pickup of 3. And we'll give you a look at the Denver defense. Up front, Fletcher, Hasselbach, Washington, and Shane Dronette. The linebackers in the middle, Carl Mecklenburg, his final game in the NFL, a 6-time Pro Bowler. And the secondary, Crockett, Atwater, Ben Smith, and the free safety is Dennis Smith, and this also is likely his last start in a Denver Bronco uniform. 3rd down and 7 for New Orleans. Everett hangs in, he finds Early, but short of a 1st down, and time for New Orleans to punt. A pickup of only 3, and Early was brought down by Randy Hilliard.
Well, that's an important play for this Denver defense, Joe, because they were burnt last week when they blitzed on 3rd down. The 49ers picked up the blitz and completed the pass, and they were converting. Now, even though the Saints did a good job of picking up the blitz and they completed the pass, there was no 1st down conversion.
Only a 3-yard pickup. Glenn Milburn waiting for the punt from Barnhart. Beautiful punt. High hanging spiral, and Milburn from just outside his 30. Tries to turn the corner and can get only to the 35. A 47-yard punt, a 4-yard return, and a hang time of 4.4. Hugh Millen, number 17. This guy has bounced around the NFL. A great arm, talented quarterback. getting a chance to start in place of the injured John Elway. Protected by this offensive line, the Pro Bowler at left tackle is Gary Zimmerman, but this line has had its problems this season. The backs, Clark and Milburn. The wide receivers, Russell and Miller. And the tight end, another Pro Bowler, Shannon Sharp. There's Hugh Millen. A strong arm.
And smart, Joe.
And quick. He can scramble. First down from just outside the 35 and a toss to Clark. Darian Connor there to wrap him up after a pickup of 2. We introduce you to the New Orleans Saints defense. Up front, they have the rookie Joe Johnson from Louisville. Frank Warren, the veteran, in the middle now with Wayne Martin on the end. The linebackers for the Saints, Turnbull, Tubbs, Mills, and Darian Connor, who has had an outstanding season. The secondary, Benny Clark on a corner, Jimmy Spencer on the other, with Buck and Lumpkin the safeties. Second down and 8. Millen was shooting for Anthony Miller, and it was behind him.
Yeah, I think somebody tipped that ball at the line of scrimmage.
So Hugh Millen starts out 0 for 1, and another look.
Well, Millen's line gives him plenty of time. He sits back there comfortably in the pocket. But there you see Frank Warren, number 73. I think he got his hand on it and affected the trajectory of that ball.
Well set.
With Clark and Milburn in the backfield, the Broncos set up with 3rd and 8. Out of the shotgun, Millen over the middle, incomplete. Shannon Sharp, the intended receiver. And the talented safety Vince Buck was right there with him.
Joe Johnson just put a big hit on Hugh Millen. And then Melander, whom Johnson ran over, went over to Millen and I know apologized to him. And that's going to be a big matchup in this game today, Joe. If Joe Johnson can beat Melander all day, then Millen's not going to have time to find his receivers.
Tom Ruin back to punt for Denver. Tyrone Hughes back deep for the Saints from his 15. This has not been a fun 5 minutes for Tyrone Hughes. Another big hit. A 47-yard punt, an 8-yard return. Hugh Millen and the Denver Broncos trying to come away with a win today and finish the season at 8-8. No score.
Fox NFL Saturday is brought to you by Coors Light. Naturally brewed, reach for the silver bullet, the pure taste of the Rockies. By McDonald's, the official restaurant of the National Football League. By DirecTV, introducing personalized TV. And by Warner Brothers' new motion picture, Disclosure. Now playing.
It's been a tough couple of weeks for head coach Wade Phillips in just his 2nd season with the Broncos. He's been under a lot of fire. His team started out 0-4. In fact, this guy, Wade Phillips, for a brief while was head coach of the New Orleans Saints. That was back in 1985. He ended up 1-3. His former team completes a pass to Quinn Early. And Quinn brings it out to the 35-yard line, a 12-yard pickup, and Elijah Alexander was there to make the stop.
Yeah, and this is where the New Orleans Saints want to attack the Denver Broncos. They want to attack them in the air. Their run defense is better than their pass defense, and they want to attack those corners with Early, Haynes, and Torrance Small.
Jim Mora. The media down in New Orleans has been talking about Mora and how he has been a little more personable this season. He is a joy to work with this year for the media down in New Orleans. Early makes another catch. He stepped out of bounds before he got the first down. Ben Smith was there for Denver, a pickup of 8.
If Ben Smith is going to give Quinn Early that kind of a cushion, then the Saints are just going to run that play time after time. Jim Mora is the kind of coach where if he's successful with a play, he'll just keep going back to it until you stop it.
2nd down and 2 after that pickup of 8. Brad Muster is in the backfield, actually playing as an H-back. And there he goes in motion. The handoff to Bates. Brought down as he crossed the 45-yard line. It depends on the spot to see if he picked up a first down. It looked like he had it.
Joe, this is a team, New Orleans, that struggled, and they did get the first down. You're right. They struggled with their run game earlier in the season. They were people were criticizing the offensive line. All of a sudden, Mario Bates steps on the scene. Their run game's going great guns, and all of a sudden, nobody's complaining about the offensive line. They look pretty good now.
Buster splits out wide to the right. They send Bates in motion, and Everett looks left, throws left, and completes it into Denver territory. A pickup of 8 as he found Michael Haynes. And this crowd on a Christmas Eve here in Denver, rather quiet. How many Christmas Eves or around this time of year is this place, Mile High Stadium, just rocking? Man, it is dead quiet. They still come out and support their Broncos, but it's been a down year for Denver. Second down and 2. Everett perfect so far. And Bates will try to get around the end. He does, and he's brought out of bounds around the 45, and again it will depend on the spot. Looked like he came up a bit short. He did. He's a yard short of a first down.
Yeah, well, it's tough to get the first down when the Denver defense just sent everybody like a wave, and they sent them almost as if they knew where Bates was going.
There is a flag on this play, and we'll check the marker.
Look at all these guys and watch the flow. They all flow right towards the ball, right towards the line of scrimmage. And really, there's almost no place for Bates to go. He breaks the corner just a little bit to get a little bit of an edge.
By the offense, number 82, 10-yard penalty, repeat second down.
And a hold.
That's Irv Smith.
Irv Smith guilty, and that'll bring up a second down and 12.
Now, that happens a lot when the runner is trying to get to the corner. The tight end is the last guy there, and if a linebacker starts to slip away, those tight ends will always grab you.
6 defensive backs check into the game for Denver on second down and 12 for the Saints. But this is very much a left-handed offense with regard to the run for the Saints. They love to run behind Rofe and Dombrowski. Rarely will they run right. Everett over the middle, somehow finds Smith, and Irv finds a first down. Brought down at the 42 by Rondell Jones, a pickup of 15. A lot of people had questions about Irv Smith before this season. He's had a breakthrough year of sorts.
Yeah, well, you talk about ESP between the quarterback and his receiver. I mean, Everett just makes the delivery. Smith's right there, and they do it just before Smith reaches the defender. So timing is everything on that short dump to the tight end across the middle.
Smith, a #1 pick last year, has come on in 1994. Everett is 5 of 5. He airs it out, and he overthrows early. First incompletion of the day. Ray Crockett was there to defend for Denver.
Well, Willie Rofe is a Pro Bowl. He's the only Pro Bowler for the Saints, and take a look at why right here. Going up against Simon Fletcher and really just shutting him out, shutting him down. That's what he's done to right defensive ends all season. Willie Rofe may be the premier left tackle in the league, Joe, and it's only his second year.
Last year played at a right tackle spot, now back at the left side, and he's a left-handed guy, and this is where he played in college, so he's very comfortable. Second down and 10, and the give to Bates, and he is brought down in the backfield by Shane Dronette. A loss of 1. Boy, he shot through the offensive line of the Saints and brought down Bates. A loss on the play.
When you have an aggressive style defense and you're shooting the gaps the way Dronette shoots it right here and just gets right around Willie Williams, you either make the big play in the backfield, Joe, or you vacate your territory, and if the runner gets by you, he just keeps going.
Third down and 11. Everett steps up, lost the football. And it's recovered by New Orleans, but it's time for the Saints to punt.
Hasselbach on this play makes such a heads-up play. Watch Everett fumble the ball, and Fletcher's the guy who forces the fumble. Now watch Hasselbach. Look at him. He grabs Everett and holds on to him. That's smart football, because when the quarterback fumbles, he's usually the guy to get on it. So when you see a defensive lineman doing that, you know he's playing heads-up football. You know he studies his plays at night.
Tommy Barnhart back to punt. His second punt of the day. Glenn Milburn waiting again. End over end punt. Milburn will let it go past, and it heads into the end zone. Almost like a kickoff, end over end, a 48-yard punt. But the Broncos will have it at the 20. The Bronco defense holds, and there's still no score. Well, they have credited Simon Fletcher with a sack on the play in which he knocked the ball out of the hand of Jim Everett. And he told us yesterday that he is in a personal competition with that guy, Shane Dronette. Each came into the game with 6 sacks. Fletcher picks up 1. He has 7, and he's trying to lead the Broncos in sacks for the 7th straight year, and he's now 1 up on Dronette. Millen and the Broncos set up at their own 20. Millen hangs in, and he finds his tight end Carswell. Check that, Jerry Evans, and he is brought out of bounds with a first down by Winfred Tubbs.
Now that is one thing that you'll notice about Hugh Millen, and you'll see it all day. He will stand in the pocket, and he'll stand there with fire and everything coming down, raining down around him, and he'll wait and find his receiver.
Evans, the big tight end out of Toledo, 26 years old, a 2-year pro. Picked up a first down, and the Broncos set up at their own 33. Milburn hit and dropped by Joe Johnson, a pickup of 2.
This is a team, Joe Buck, that has struggled with the run game all season. And you look at it here, they've had 408 rushing plays, stuffed 75 times. That's 18%. That's almost 1 out of every 5 plays that they run the ball. They're stuffed on or behind the line. It's the worst in the National Football League.
2nd down and 8. Millen from the shotgun finds Anthony Miller, and another Denver first down. Pickup of 11. Miller working on Vinnie Clark.
Well, Anthony Miller, Joe, is one of those free agent acquisitions that we talked about. And he's a guy, a receiver, that Denver felt would come in here, complement John Elway, and be what he needed. Be the deep threat that Denver really wanted to have.
He's had a 1,000-yard season. Hand off to Clark. And a big hit from the secondary from Vince Buck, but a pickup of 5 yards.
That looked like 2 freight trains on the same track going in opposite directions. Those 2 guys hit each other going full force.
You and I were shocked at the size of Derek Clark. We saw him on the field before the game.
He's a big guy. He's like a linebacker, and you have to credit Buck for hanging in there. I mean, he gets knocked sideways about 5 yards, but, hey, he brought him down.
2nd down and 5. Milburn. Nowhere to go. Darian Connor brings him down, a loss of 2.
Well, I know that the Denver Broncos want to try to run the football. This is how they start almost every game, Joe Buck. They come out trying to run the ball. They end up getting stuffed, and then they go to the pass game. They need to mix it up a little bit more and a little earlier.
Hugh Millen.
I mean, Hugh Millen is a guy who has the ability. He had 20 straight completions in the past 2 games.
Millen faced with a 3rd and 7. Hanging in. Now he'll roll. Nowhere to go, and he throws incomplete. Anthony Miller, the intended receiver, and he was well covered.
Yeah, well,
time now for Denver to punt.
You talk about the offensive line and the complaints of the offensive line. Hugh Millen sat in there. He had time to have a cup of tea and a bagel. I mean, he sat in there, and they gave him plenty of time, like a fortress. And it was only after about 5 seconds that he ran it out of there. So nice job by the Denver Broncos front 5.
John Elway standing along the sidelines and just watching here today. He's the emergency quarterback for Denver. Ruins punt, taken in by Hughes at his 10. He goes nowhere. brought down by Randy Fuller, and I mean to tell you, the coverage teams on the punts and the kickoffs for Denver have been fantastic. A 43-yard punt, no yards on the return. Well, the AFC playoff picture is extremely clear. The top 6 make the playoffs. The divisions that have been clinched, Pittsburgh has won their division, San Diego's won theirs. Then you get the next 3 they're in. The winner of the Raiders and Kansas City will secure the final playoff spot in the AFC. The NFC ain't that simple. Bates trying to get around the end. He ran into Steve Atwater and a pickup of only 1.
This is what Steve Atwater is known for. He's known for being up here in the run game and filling fast and furiously as soon as he reads it. And watch him zero in on Bates. Put the big clamps on him, bring him straight down. You know, when Steve Atwater brings you down, guys don't usually drag him for extra yardage. They go straight down.
Atwater is headed to his 5th straight Pro Bowl. 2nd down and 9. Bates again. Not much, and there's Carl Mecklenburg, a pickup of 3. Ben Smith, a corner, was also in on the tackle.
Well, Mecklenburg told us yesterday, and of course every player remembers the last game of the season, and you remember it during the entire offseason. He said this game today, he imagines since it's going to be his last, he'll remember it for a long, long time.
Doesn't really have any specific plans for when he gets out of the game. Just gonna hang out with a family, do a little fishing, play a little golf. 3rd and 7. Everett over the middle, and Torrance Small can't hang on. Lost the football. It's an incomplete pass. Incomplete pass. Dennis Smith with the big hit on Torrance Small.
Talk about remembering your last game. This is a play Dennis Smith, again, he's known for this kind of play. He's the big hit guy in the secondary, he and Atwater, and he puts his helmet right through Small.
Very close to being a completion and a fumble. Ruled an incomplete pass, and Barnhart punched him Milburn from his 47. A little move and into New Orleans Saint territory. A 41-yard punt, a 7-yard return. The Broncos and Hugh Millen with great field position. No score. Well, also a big day in the career of Dennis Smith, a first-round draft pick of the Broncos back in '81. Now, he's not necessarily retiring from football, but he doesn't believe he'll be back with the Denver Broncos next season.
Well, and then you see him make a play like he made on Torrance Small, and then you have to think maybe they'll change their mind.
He's still one of the heaviest hitters from a safety spot that you'll find in the NFL. A pickup of 6 by Derek Clark. Sam Mills was there to make the tackle. Thought it was neat when we talked to Sam Mills, and he said, if you would have told me that in week 17, game 16, I would feel as good as I feel right now, I wouldn't have believed you.
At 35 years old, too. That's saying something.
Clark again. He carries the pile forward, and it will depend on the spot to see if he picked up a first down. Joe Johnson there for the stop.
You know, Joe, Shannon Sharp told us yesterday that this team felt like their offensive line had to play their best game, had to play a great game in order for them to win today. So far, this Denver Broncos offensive line has stepped up because we've seen them with the great pass protection, except for the one time Joe Johnson ran over Melander, and now we're watching them get the push on the Saints defensive line and running the ball.
Just short of a first down. There's something flying over the stadium here, and that's a shopping cart. I wonder if those wheels all roll the same way.
Well, you know, when you see things in the air around this time, you think it's got something to do with Santa Claus, but that's not Santa Claus. It's more like a food drive.
A full shopping cart. It's the first shopping cart I've seen that's moving where the wheels aren't wobbling all over the place. Third down and less than one. Clark, a first down carry for the Broncos. He got 4.
Well, for a team that's had trouble as of late with their short yardage plays, it looks like they've found the solution here. And you watch the lead block. They've got Ray Jacobs in the backfield, a linebacker. They've got Rivers. And then Clark just comes up over the top of them. So you see those two big bodies leading for Clark.
And a first down pickup from the 35. Millen, a quick slant to Miller. And brought down inside the 20.
Now, this is exactly what Hugh Millen loves to have. He loves to run the ball, and then it loosens things up, and then he goes to Anthony Miller. Anthony Miller with the slant pattern and running across the inside, doing something that he's gotten some criticism for not being able to do. People have said he's a great receiver, but to go to the next level of a Rice or a Sharp, he's got to be able to make the big play across the middle.
That was good for a 16-yard pickup. The Denver Broncos will have a first down inside the Saints 20. The end of our first quarter. There is no score. We start the second quarter on Christmas Eve at Mile High Stadium in Denver. Hey, this Tuesday night on Fox, the Turtles are back in another bodacious, action-packed, totally outrageous adventure for the entire family. So grab a pizza and get ready for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. Tuesday at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, right here on Fox. First down for Denver, and Millen to throw. Milburn could not hang on. Jimmy Spencer was there to make the hit anyway.
And Jimmy Spencer's really picked up his play, Joe, and he's one of those young New Orleans Saints who's really started to come on.
For the first time in a long time, the New Orleans Saints have 2 corners in Spencer and with the pickup of Vinnie Clark that are very quick, and they can cover. They'd love to bring Vinnie Clark back next season.
They can't believe Atlanta Falcons put him on the waiver wire.
Second down and 10, and Milburn bouncing around. Gets inside the 15, brought down by Sam Mills, a pickup of 4.
Well, Milburn bounced around a little bit too much because Big Brian Habib was out in front of him, and he had the block on Sam Mills. He's pulling, you see him there going across the screen, and watch him, he's got the block on Mills, and Milburn needs to just accelerate up the field, not zig and zag, because if you zig and zag with Sam Mills, he'll bring you down.
Trips away.
Third down and 6. Millen was hit by Vince Buck as he got rid of it, and he threw behind Milburn. And that big hit and the good defense will force the Broncos into a field goal try.
Well, the Broncos are going to have to account for the blitz. And here, nobody blocks the blitz. There's 2 guys coming. When you see 2 guys and 1 blocker, the blocker being Habib, that is a problem with the coaches. The coach did not allow the players to get a man on a man and protect the quarterback.
32-yard field goal try for Jason Elam. He'll try to give the Broncos the lead. Elam 10 for 10. Within this range this season. Perfect on his first try of the day, and the Denver Broncos jump out in front. The Broncos take a lead on Christmas Eve. Jason Elam ready to kick it away. His 32-yarder has the Broncos on top here in the second quarter. Tyrone Hughes, one of the best in the league, back deep for the Saints. From inside his 5. Chased down from behind by Deion Struther, one of the backup running backs for the Broncos. And here comes Jim Everett. This guy caught a lot of grief in his last few days with the Rams. Nice to see him doing so well.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of people said that he wasn't a tough guy. Coming into today's game, here's the kind of records that he's after. The passing yards on a season, completions, and the passing percentage on a season. All New Orleans Saints records that he could break today.
Still only 31 years old. Was traded for a 7th-round draft pick. That's all it took to get Jim Everett in a Saints uniform. On first down, Everett finds his tight end Smith. And Irv fights for extra yards, gets it out to the 30.
And, you know, the other thing about Jim Everett, Joe, is he's really maintained his composure. He had some criticism coming in here. Jim Mora got behind him, gave him some confidence, and he's a guy who never badmouthed anybody. He just put his shoulder to the wheel. He kept working. He kept at it, and he's really had a fine season. He's going to get better and better.
2nd down and 2. Wide open is early. Forced out of bounds at the 40 with a Saints first down. And they've been working all day on Ben Smith.
Yeah, well, we've seen Ben Smith now beaten 4 times, 3 with Early, 1 with Michael Haynes, and he's giving the Saints receivers too much of a cushion. Again, Jim Mora will just keep going back to that time after time today.
Ben Smith lines up across from the wide out to the far right, the top of your screen. First down for the Saints. Everett to throw again. He finds Smith. And Irv Smith gets it out to midfield. Mike Kroll there for the stop and a pickup of 9.
Yeah, the Saints on that play, Joe, really stretched out Denver's coverage defense. They put Muster out on the edge. They motion Mario Bates, so they drag the linebackers to the perimeter. And when you drag the linebackers to the perimeter, what it does is it opens up the middle. You know your tight end's got only one guy on him, and the tight end can usually beat a linebacker.
He beat Kroll, picked up 9, 2nd down and 1. Bates brought down at the 49-yard line. It depends on the spot. Looked like he picked up enough for a New Orleans first down. Simon Fletcher there to bring him down.
Well, Hasselbach was the guy who made this play, and it's a good thing he did, because watch number 72, Jim Dombrowski. He's like a road grader in there. He gets into his guy and just keeps plowing. He opens up a big space about the size that you could put a garbage truck through there.
They measure for the first down, and the Saints just did pick it up. So a first down at the Denver 49.
And credit that first down to Jim Dombrowski.
There's Big Jim.
Big, about 300 pounds, 310 after breakfast.
Number 1 pick back in 1986. Played collegiately at Virginia. Good, strong left side of that offensive line with Willie Roaf, the Pro Bowler, to his left. First down for Everett. Airs it out for Haynes. And the speedster may be interfered with by Ray Crockett. The official throws a flag. Haynes had Crockett beaten. And Crockett looked like he got an arm into the side of Michael Haynes.
Yeah, it looked like Crockett did have contact with Haynes, but it didn't look like it really impeded Haynes' progress to the ball. But you know as well as I do, Joe, with the new rules, they're going to call it. You got to keep your hands off of the receiver.
They do call it on Ray Crockett. And that will bring the ball down inside the 20-yard line for the Saints.
Right up the left side here. And see Crockett's left hand? He's just got his left hand on Haynes' arm. But that is so incidental and so minor that I think that they've taken that rule of the 5-yard chuck to a new level.
Maybe a ridiculous level as you watch that replay.
You could say ridiculous.
A 32-yard penalty.
And you did say ridiculous.
And it brings the ball down to the 17-yard line of Denver. Craig Nowitzki, number 60, checks in as an eligible receiver. An extra tackle. And the toss to Bates. Running left and brought down from behind by Hasselbach. A pickup of only one.
Hasselbach's really spent so far his entire afternoon in the Saints' backfield. He's getting great penetration. He's the guy who's making them turn the ball one way or the other. Watch him here and watch him get upfield. You can disturb a run play by getting upfield, getting penetration, and you see him there, upfield, and then on to Bates from behind. Simon Fletcher doing a great job of turning the play in.
Everett to throw, quick slant over the middle and caught by Torrance Small. Short of a first down, but down inside the 10, and Everett's face lights up when you bring up the name of Torrance Small.
That's because he's a big guy and he's got sure hands. He's 6'3", 201 pounds, and normally you would cringe to send a wide receiver into the middle with number 27, Steve Atwater, standing there, hovering around, licking his chops. You don't want to send a receiver in there. Don't go in there. But if it's Torrance Small and you're as big as Small, you can do it.
Third down and 1. Bates. It's going to be close. Looked like he came up short of a first down. He may have even lost yards.
Joe, the Denver Broncos defense know that when it's third and short, when it's a critical situation, the New Orleans Saints are going to run this way. They're going to run to their left side behind Rofe and Dombrowski and watch the Broncos defenders swarm. You see Atwater, he fills fast. Alexander fills fast. Fletcher, all those guys on the snap of the ball accelerate to the left side of the New Orleans Saints line.
Well, the running game for the Saints has done nothing. For Bates, 9 carries, only 8 yards. He came up short of a first down. And when we come back, Morton Anderson will try a field goal to tie it. Well, season's greetings from all of us on our specific crew and from all of us at Fox. There's Terry Hester. He's going to try like heck to get home after the game tonight, get back, little daughter, spend Christmas tomorrow.
You can't get more festive than that. You got the Santa hat on the camera.
26-yard field goal try from Morton Anderson. He'll try to tie it. High snap, good hold, and a good kick. That's the 300th career field goal for Morton Anderson, the 26th of this season, and that ties this game. Time now for our Aflac trivia question. 100 NFL teams have started their seasons 0-4, including this year's Broncos. 3 have rallied to finish the season with a 500 record or better. Can you name those 3 teams? Our Aflac trivia answer. There's the question again. 3 teams have come back from an 0-4 start. Thanks for the timpani action. To finish 500 or better, here are the 3. Cincinnati in 84, San Diego in 92, and Arizona. They lose today. They're out of any playoff berth, but they end up 8-8 after starting out 0-4. The Denver Broncos, they have a chance. With a win today, they would finish 8-8 after starting out 0-4. Morton Anderson kicks it away, and Milburn will take a knee in his end zone. So the Broncos, tied with the Saints at 3-3, will have the ball first and 10 from their own 20. Next Sunday, the NFC playoff race begins on Fox. Join Terry, Howie, Jimmy, and James for a special edition of the #1 pregame show in America, followed by an exciting NFC wildcard matchup. Check local listings for game time in your area right here on Fox Sports. Hugh Millen and the Broncos set up at their own 20. Miller out of bounds. He had beaten Jimmy Spencer, but he came down with a foot on the white line, and that will force a 2nd and 10.
Well, if it looks like Hugh Millen underthrows this ball, it is because he did do that, and he did it on purpose. You see the foot comes out right on the line, so it's a good call by the official. But if Hugh Millen sees Anthony Miller running step for step with the defensive back, he'll underthrow it, let Miller come back to it, and come down with the ball.
Hand off to Milburn. Breaks one tackle, and then he is stuck. Carl Lee, an extra defensive back, came up and laid the hit on Milburn.
You know, Hugh Millen, Joe, is a quarterback who's, since college, has never been at the right place at the right time. He won the Rose Bowl for Washington, and then he hurt his shoulder. Dropped him in the draft to a 3rd-round pick. He went to L.A., replaced in L.A. by Jim Everett, and he's been a journeyman quarterback since.
On 3rd and 8, an incomplete pass, throwing for Shannon Sharp, and Shannon has yet to make a reception here in this game, and he was looking for a big one today.
Yeah, and that was a catchable ball right there. That's not a ball that you expect Shannon Sharp to not come up with.
He will head for his 3rd Pro Bowl. Tom Ruin back to punt for Denver. Tyrone Hughes back deep for the Saints. Punt never did turn over, and it will bounce out of bounds just inside the New Orleans 40. A 39-yard punt, and the Saints will take over, tied with Denver 3-3. What do you think these Saints are looking for this offseason to take this team to that next level?
Well, they've got to go for defense. They want more help on their defensive line, and they want help in their defensive secondary. That's Jim Mora's 2 primary concerns, to shore up the defense. They've got some good talent there. They need some more to complement the guys they already have.
From the 39, Everett wide open, and what a catch. Brad Muster with a one-handed grab inside Denver territory and a 15-yard reception.
Yeah,
Great catch.
Yeah, and Brad Muster really is a guy who hasn't seen much time this season. He's been injured. He's been injured since he's been in New Orleans. And you see him here making a great catch. It's great because he's got to stop, reverse his momentum, and come back to that ball. Really, it was a poorly thrown ball by Jim Everett, but Muster makes him look good.
They send Muster in motion, and on 1st down, Everett over the middle finds Brad again. Brought down at the 35, another New Orleans 1st down, a pickup of 11.
The inherent weakness, Joe, in the kind of defense Denver plays, which is called a 2-deep zone. 2 deep because they spread their safeties deep. It leaves the middle of the field open. So that's always going to be a temptation, and it is a temptation. You'll see New Orleans attacking that area of the field.
Jim Everett, 11 out of 13 for 107 yards. Wants to put it up again. He finds Irv Smith, the tight end, and he's brought down at the 30, a pickup of 5.
If the Broncos want to stop Irv Smith from catching these balls for 5-6 yards a clip, coming right off the line of scrimmage, they're going to have to put a linebacker over his nose and stop him at the line of scrimmage, disrupt his pattern. If they let him off clean, the Saints will just, again, keep going back to what works.
For Irv, 4 catches for 37 yards. 2nd down and 5. Everett pump fake, and he couldn't find anyone. Under pressure from Steve Atwater. Boy, the Saints have really welcomed Brad Muster back to their team. He was banged up, fighting hamstring injuries. He's back and heavily involved in the offensive game plan here today.
Yeah, watch Jim Everett. When you pump fake the ball, you got to be careful because he almost lost it on the pump fake. It really makes you think that he changed his mind. He didn't mean to pump fake, but he changed his mind in the middle of his action, the middle of his throwing action, and then just pulled it in.
3rd down and 5. The Broncos bring the blitz. The pass is complete. A little shy of a 1st down, and now a flag. A flag as Everett is down. A personal foul, roughing the passer, and this will cost Denver 15 yards, and it will give the Saints a first down.
You know, Joe, Jim Everett already is playing hurt. Last week in the Dallas game, he split his elbow open kind of the same way if you threw an orange up against a concrete wall. Just split it down the middle. And then that penalty was called because of the head. The head to Jim Everett's head. Watch it right here. Right up under his chin. Very similar to the shot that Troy Aikman took, and which drew so much attention earlier in the season.
Officials will tell you if a defender hits the head of the quarterback in any fashion, it's going to draw the flag.
Yeah, and especially the way Dennis Smith did it, the way he dipped his chin and hit Everett really with the top of his head. You know, Denver thinks that they can rattle Jim Everett. They think they can affect his game by putting hits on him.
We'll see. First down for the Saints from the Denver 13. Over the middle, Michael Haynes. Brought down at the 7. A pickup of 5 yards. Denver's Mile High Stadium on Christmas Eve. We're tied at 3, and the Saints are moving in. Joe Buck and Tim Green with you. Great atmosphere for football. The Broncos with a win would move to 8-8. The Saints with a win would move to 7-9. Second down and 5. Everett rolls in the corner of the end zone. Touchdown, Michael Haynes.
Joe, the Denver Broncos blitz as much or more than any defense in the National Football League. They live and die with the blitz, and on that play, they died with it.
What a grab by Michael Haynes. Kept his feet in bounds, pulled in the high throw, and then just tap danced right around the pylon for 6. For Haynes, his 5th touchdown of the year. And a 7-play drive which covered 61 yards, covering 3 minutes on the clock, will be capped by the extra point try by Morton Anderson. Anderson is still perfect for the season. 30 of 30 for the year, but there is a flag on the play. We'll check the penalty. The Saints indicate it's against Denver, and it is. So the extra point is good. The penalty will be assessed on the kickoff, and here's Ed Hockley. Another look at the touchdown. Everett to Michael Haynes, and with that, the New Orleans Saints jump out in front, 10-3.
Well, the New Orleans Saints used the 2-step shuffle to take it in for the end zone. Michael Haynes goes in motion, and then the receivers cross. They leave Ben Smith, number 26 for the Broncos, on an island. He's got to come off small and pick up Michael Haynes. He doesn't get there. Haynes is wide open, tiptoes in.
Ben Smith has had a rough first half. The Saints have been picking on him here in the first half, and New Orleans grabs a 10-3 lead. Jim Everett on that last drive, 6 out of 7 for 47 yards. The 8-yarder to Haynes into the end zone, and now Morton Anderson ready to kick it away for New Orleans. Boy, Morton Anderson with this altitude on kickoffs is deadly. Plus they had the 5-yard penalty. There was no chance that ball was staying in play. Give you a look at the NFC playoff picture. The top 6 will make the playoffs. The Giants are out even though they beat Dallas today. Arizona out. They lost to Atlanta today, and it looks like you'll end up with 4 teams out of the NFC Central going to the playoffs. Minnesota will play Monday night against San Francisco. Detroit tomorrow night at Miami. Green Bay with a big win today at Tampa Bay. Clark met at the line of scrimmage. He falls forward for 3. Ronaldo Turnbull there to make the stop.
You know, when you talk about the NFC Central, Joe, you have to remember that Green Bay can still win that division at 9-7, because Minnesota has to play the 49ers and because Detroit has to play Miami at Miami. Those are conceivably losses for those teams, and if it's a 9-7 across the board, Green Bay wins the tiebreaker.
But right now, all four are in the playoffs in the NFC Central, combined with Dallas and San Francisco. Millen under a heavy rush, and he's brought down by Wayne Martin, his 9th sack of the year. Just wave after wave of pressure, and Millen had nowhere to go.
Well, I told you before, earlier in the game, that Hugh Millen will sit in the pocket. Here's a play where he sits in the pocket, he sits too long, he finds nothing, and this is where, if you have John Elway, he's still scrambling, he's still running. Hugh Millen, as well as he's done filling in for this guy, John Elway, does not have Elway's feet. He does not have Elway's mobility.
A loss of 11. And a 3rd and 18. Out of the backfield, it's Reggie Rivers. Brought down at the 25 and well shy of a first down. A 13-yard pickup and time for Denver to punt, and still Millen is not found at Shannon Sharpe.
You see that there? You see the dirt in Millen's helmet? That's a bad sign, and then he's got some blood on his elbow. When your quarterback's got dirt in his head and blood on his elbow, you know things are not going well. And as you mentioned, of course, if Shannon Sharpe's not catching the ball, that's another sign of things not going your way.
Beautiful punt by Ruin. Hughes can't hang on, and Denver recovers at the 21. That all started with a fantastic punt by Ruin. Richard Harvey falls on top of it. Hughes could not make the catch over his shoulder.
Well, Ruin looked like he launched that ball out of a cannon. And then Hughes tries to catch it on the fly. He slips it. He can't, you know, Hughes is a guy who's made some big plays, but he's also given up some big plays. He's run some balls for touchdowns, but then he's fumbled the ball almost as many times. He's had 7 fumbles this season.
And the Saints have lost 5 of those fumbles, including this one. A 55-yard punt results in the turnover, and Denver down by 7 sets up at the New Orleans 21. Out of the backfield, it's Clark. Hit from behind by Vince Buck.
Well, you know,
pickup of 5.
When your run game is not working, and Denver's run game has not worked all year, you've got an alternative, especially when your offense is geared to passing. That alternative is to throw the ball to Clark and Shannon Sharpe out of the backfield on the short underneath passes.
2nd down and 5. Now it's Rivers and Clark in the backfield for Denver. Clark gets a good block, finds a first down. What a block he had from Tom Nalen. A reserve offensive lineman got out, laid the block, and the Broncos get a first down.
Yeah, you know, Nalen just pulls out and he leads Rivers. And when you're a big guy with a big body, it's tough to get those little guys on the numbers. But Nalen not only gets one, he not only gets Clark, he gets Vince Buck, so he gets 2 of those little guys out there. That's like hitting 2 flies with 1 swatter at the same time.
1st and goal, and the Broncos see Darian Connor come in and make the hit on Derek Clark.
You talk about the violent world of football, and Clark's a big guy, and Connor's the same. And then when 2 big guys hit each other like that, you go sideways. The momentum just goes sideways. There's no place to go. They don't go forward. They don't go back. And the force and the energy just blast both of them sideways.
2nd down and goal from the 11. Millen dumps it off to Clark. Breaks 1 tackle and down inside the 5. A pickup of 7 as he gets to the 4.
Well, you talk about a quick release on a quarterback. Hugh Millen zipped that ball out of there, and I don't know how he did it. He sees the pressure, watch it, just flips it out sideways and makes the completion. Nice job by Clark picking it up. Joe Johnson again beating Nylander.
Brought down at the 4. We're at the 2-minute warning here in Denver. Well, Shannon Sharp, a Pro Bowl tight end, has yet to pick up a catch here in the first half, and now on 3rd and goal from the 4, the Broncos take him out of the lineup. They bring in Jerry Evans, a bigger blocking tight end.
Well, I'll tell you, if they took him out for any other reason than his injury, somebody ought to have their head examined, because when you're 3rd and 4 in the red zone, you want your Pro Bowl tight end in the game.
They're going to throw. Millen waiting. Millen is sacked. Darian Connor is 11th of the year. And this crowd here at Mile High Stadium, well, quiet and shocked.
This is the worst red zone offense in the game of football right now, or at least in the NFL. And you see here, Hugh Millen just finds nobody open. Now, why in the world Shannon Sharp is on the sideline is really, it's inconceivable. You have to believe that he's hurt or somebody's crazy.
It might be the latter. It might be the latter, because he walked out. He looked frustrated. He was ready to get into the huddle and get ready for the play, and he looked shocked when Evans came in to replace him in the lineup.
When you've got a Pro Bowl player who's big and who's strong, and you know that you're in that red zone, you know that you're in the end zone, and that's where guys are pushing and shoving. That's where you want your biggest, strongest receiver, because he can get in there, mix it up, run an option route on a linebacker and get himself open almost all the time. That's what Shannon Sharp does. That's why he's a Pro Bowl player.
Elam will try a 29-yarder, 1 for 1 today. Hit from 32 earlier. He'll try to dig into the New Orleans lead. The Saints leading it 10-3. High snap. The kick hits the upright and goes through. A 29-yard field goal for Jason Elam. That's his 30th field goal of the season, and you have to credit the holder, Jeff Campbell, with great work on this high snap. Dave Waddell is the kick center. His snap a little high, but Campbell saved it, and Elam put it through. They've changed it to a 30-yarder. So officially a 30-yarder off the foot of Jason Elam, and the lead now for New Orleans is 4. But with regard to picking up touchdowns, when you're inside the 20, the Broncos are now less than 46% for the season. The worst percentage in the NFL. And they weren't able to do it here against the Saints. Tomorrow at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, if you're tired of watching shows about families that are too good to be true, then spend Christmas with the Bundys for another outrageous episode of Married with Children, followed by a brand new episode of The George Carlin Show tomorrow night right here on Fox.
You know, I've got to spend Christmas in the Chicago Airport Marriott. I think I'd rather spend it there than with the Bundys.
You think so?
Yeah, almost anywhere.
Well, good luck getting home. Tyrone Hughes has been taken off the kick return team. You see Daryl Mitchell, who is back deep for the Saints. Elam, his high kick taken by Mitchell inside the 5. Daryl Mitchell, a flag on the play as Mitchell is brought down at the 28 by Ronnie Bradford.
You know, Joe, flags on kicking plays always mystify me, because whenever I watch a kicking play, be it a punt or a kickoff, I always see a clip or I always see a hold. It just happens on every play.
Holding by the receiving team, number 99, during the return. 10-yard penalty, first down.
The report on Tyrone Hughes, a bloody nose. That's why he was not on that kickoff return. Daryl Mitchell with a strong return, but it's brought back after the hold. And the Saints, who have the 4-point lead, have it 1st and 10 from their own 17 and 1 timeout remaining.
And you see Hughes there. He's got both. That's a double nostril nosebleed. Sometimes a double nostril bleed can keep you out. If it's a single, you got to get back in there.
You know, I'm so proud that you didn't telestrate that. 1 timeout left for New Orleans. They lead by 4, and they hand off to Brown. Derek Brown out near the 30. And a big pickup on first down, brought down at the 29, a pickup of 12.
You know, Derek Brown, since he's been replaced by Mario Bates as the starter, has averaged 5.4 yards a carry. He's better as a backup than he is as a starter.
Here's another chance, this time on a short dump pass. He's out to the 35-yard line, and that's it. 1:06 and counting. Coming up on the Dockers halftime, James and Terry will have all the scores and highlights and the playoff picture from around the NFL. All coming up next on the Dockers halftime. 2nd down and 4. Everett over the middle. Torrance Small. You can see why he likes him. Brought down at the 49. Just shy of midfield, a pickup of 15.
Yeah, well, Crockett was on them, but again, Small breaks to the middle. That's where this defense opens up.
The New Orleans Saints will spend their last time out after that pickup, and they're faced with 46 seconds remaining in the half and a first down just shy of midfield.
And, you know, so far, Jim Everett's numbers show that getting in his face, blitzing him, does not worry him, and it does not affect him. Now, I talked to a lot of the defensive players for the Broncos yesterday. They had the notion that Everett could be shaken up by the blitz, that he had the happy feet, they call it, where he could be affected. But I think that idea, the notion of Jim Everett being a guy who's afraid of the rush, is as outdated as lime green linoleum. Jim Everett is a guy who's tough. He's proven himself. He's playing hurt today, and he will stand in there, rush or not.
I see you enjoyed your stay at my house. I'll have that changed. First down, just shy of midfield. Everett dumps it off to Brown. He'll try to get out of bounds. Gets past one tackler, Randy Hilliard, and out of bounds at the 36-yard line, a pickup of 14.
And how about the move Brown puts on Hilliard? You want to talk about leaving a guy's socks on the field. Hilliard's socks are still there. He better go pick them up because Brown just left him in his dust.
So a first down at the Denver 36 with 38 seconds remaining. No timeouts left for the Saints. They lead 10-6. Over the middle, Torrance Small. Torrance Small, touchdown, New Orleans. A 36-yard completion to Small, his 4th touchdown of the year, and the Saints add to their lead in the closing seconds of the first half.
The Saints Jim Moore is so happy with Torrance Small, and sometimes when you have a guy like Small, and he's not the big expensive player like a Quinn Early or like a Michael Haynes, it's like when you've got a $10 tie and you've got a $100 silk tie. Well, sometimes you want to wear the silk tie all the time, but hey, if the $10 tie looks better, you know, just put the thing on and wear it. And Torrance Small is a $10 tie that looks great.
Sure, Torrance will be happy to hear that comparison. Morton Anderson on to try the extra point. He's been perfect all year, and all of a sudden the Saints lead the Broncos 17-6. Here's the completion to Small.
Again, the weakness of this defense is in the middle, and that's why Small comes upfield and then breaks inside. Now watch the block by Smith, 82 on Atwater. He picks Atwater off. Small just accelerates, showing great speed. Irv Smith, the first thing he does, he's got 2 jobs. He clears out the middle for Small, then watch this heads-up play here. Pops Atwater and breaks Small. So 2 nice football plays within 1 play for Irv Smith.
A 36-yard completion to Torrance Small, and now, Tim, Jim Everett is now only 6 yards away from setting an all-time Saints record with regard to yardage, passing yardage in a season. He's up to 199 yards in this game. He needs 205 for the record.
And how about the percentage? I mean, I can't figure out the math, but I know it's pretty doggone good. It's better than 50.
He was 4 out of 4 on that drive, which covered 83 yards in 1:16. Jim Everett chasing the record of the man on your left, Archie Manning.
Yeah, and all this, Joe, with a guy who did not throw the football all week in practice because of that split open 6 stitches in the elbow. He threw a little bit yesterday lightly, and then a little bit today warming up. So it makes his performance all that much more impressive.
He may have found a new midweek routine. He might not throw all week next year. He's had a fantastic half. Glenn Milburn from his goal line. Nice contained work by Vinnie Clark. He kept the play inside. Milburn couldn't bounce it outside, and Vinnie Clark just saved a big return.
Yeah, Vinnie Clark really showed nice patience on that play, and it looked like it was going to be a big return because Milburn started at the goal line and he ran to the 20, but Vinnie Clark just held his ground, skirted sideways, and just kept the whole thing inside. He knows he's got help, and you see him here. He makes sure that he hits Milburn with his inside shoulder.
Milburn out of the backfield. Beats Othello Henderson and gets out of bounds. Boy, he's quick. 14-yard pickup. And the Denver Broncos have 13 seconds left in all 3 of their timeouts. They could conceivably get into field goal range.
Now, it would be important for this team to score some points now, Joe, and to take away a little bit of that New Orleans momentum going into halftime.
Millen throws to the sideline. Milburn cannot get out of bounds. The Broncos will spend one of their 3 remaining timeouts. They're left with 2 after the pickup of 5. Leggett was there to make the tackle and keep Milburn in bounds. You've only got 1 second left, so we'll have one heave down the field, and Millen's a guy who can get it downfield. A strong arm. By the way, the Broncos will receive the second half kickoff.
Well, Hugh Millen, as I said in the beginning of the game, he's a smart guy, and he's smarter than I am. But on that play there, I think Hugh Millen needed to throw the ball downfield, not worry so much about getting the completion and then getting it out of bounds, because they had 3 timeouts. He should have gone down the field in the middle and then burned one of those timeouts.
They put 2 more seconds on the board. It doesn't really matter. Only 3 seconds remaining. So 1 more snap and they heave down the field. And Millen will try to get it to one of his receivers downfield. Broncos would love points going into the locker room at the half. The Saints leading 17-6 with 3 seconds left in the first half. Millen airs it out, and it's intercepted by Carl Lee. So tack an interception on for Carl Lee. That's his first of the season. And that's the way the first half comes to a close. With our score, the Saints 17, the Broncos 6. Stay tuned for the Dockers halftime after some words from your local Fox.
This is the Dockers halftime. 100% cotton, wrinkle-free Dockers.
All right, and welcome to Hollywood for the Dockers halftime report. Along with Terry Bradshaw, I'm James Brown at the half. The New Orleans Saints are leading Denver 17-6. Strong outing by Jim Everett in the first half.
Having a good game. Saw Wade Phillips reportedly his last game. There's nice Michael Haynes out on the flat. Picked up free agent from Atlanta, 8-yard TD reception. Saints up. Terrence Small over the middle. Crossing route. We talked about crossing routes. He takes it all the way, JB. There it is.
And there it is, a 17-6 lead, as we mentioned, by the New Orleans Saints at the half over the Denver Broncos. Okay, let's move down to Anaheim, just 40 minutes south of Los Angeles. And the Redskins playing some inspired ball in the first half, but trailing 21-17.
There's Santa's wish list. Forget that last one, big guy. They'll be in St. Louis. Schuler back. Firing, deflected. Oh, no, you hate this stuff. Anthony Newman, he picks it off. He goes 22 yards. Man, that just makes you sick at your stomach, doesn't it, JB?
Yes,
Rams up by 7. Brian Mitchell, 78-yard kickoff return. 5th time this year a punt or kickoff return has been returned for a touchdown against the Rams. Washington and the Rams tied 14-all at this point until Chris Miller lays one up. The old Hail Mary, 36 yards, Jermaine Ross, back of the end zone. There it is, 21-17. Rams up by 4 at halftime.
And that really does make you sick to your stomach.
You know what? I always hate it when quarterbacks have these deflections when it's perfectly thrown ball and it's picked off for an interception. We get blamed for it. And people say, he can't read defenses. This is baloney. Should have caught it.
And all quarterbacks say, All right, so the Rams are leading the Washington Redskins 21-17 at the half. Other scores to pass along right here in Los Angeles. The Raiders are trailing the Chiefs 14-3. Remember, the winner here is in the playoffs. One spot left in the AFC. And in San Diego fighting for a first-round bye, losing to the Steelers by 3. And in Houston, the Oilers at the half right there are leading at 13-7 over the Jets. Highlights and the playoff picture in both the AFC and NFC coming up next here in the Doctor's Halftime. Welcome back to Hollywood for the Doctor's Halftime, along with Terry Bradshaw. I'm James Brown. And Terry, an impressive victory by Green Bay, clinching a playoff spot.
I'll tell you what, Sam Weiss thought today that he might get his 5th game in a row. Excellent job by Sam and his coaching staff getting the Tampa Bay team ready, but too much Green Bay. And Sterling Sharp here, reception, fade route from Brett Favre. 1 touchdown reception. Here's his second one, a 22-yarder from Favre. His second on the day, 17th reception for a touchdown on the year. McMichael over there, little Gatorade. Brett Favre, 3 touchdown passes, 33 on the year. A new club record, breaks Lynn Dickey's old record back in 1983. Emmitt Smith on the sideline, not playing full left hamstring. Troy Aikman back 5 times in 9 plays. He finds himself on the ground as Eric Howard gets the sack, turns the ball over. Now Dave Brown hits the greatest route in all of football. That's the crossing route. Mike Sherrard, Robert Jones, the middle linebacker, trying to get pursuit. No good. 15-10, Giants upset Dallas at the Meadowlands. And Buddy hoping for a miracle. Maybe not a miracle, but he needs some offense. Can't get it. You look at the Falcons, they thought the way they could beat the Cardinals was going deep. Terry Holt giving chase. Bernie Manuel used to play quarterback at Rice. He's on the receiving end, 85 yards. Wow, this is something else. Gary Clark makes a 42-yard reception down to the 1, and the Cardinals elect to try to run it in against 12,000 people. No good. Atlanta 10-6. Now, David Wannstedt, head coach Bears, arguing. He says New England's offside. Well, okay. They're offside. They don't get the call, but the ball is blocked. Kevin Butler's attempted field goal is blocked by New England. 2 missed field goals on the day. Leroy Thompson in the end zone. He'll be a free agent at the end of the year. Parcells is not sure if he can sign him in New England. 13-3.
And while Terry takes a break, here's the NFC playoff picture. San Francisco, home field advantage. Dallas, of course, in. All 4 NFC Central teams in the playoffs. If Minnesota wins on Monday, Minnesota will win the NFC Central crown. If Detroit wins tomorrow, then Minnesota and Detroit will host first-round games. Over on the AFC side of the playoff picture, 5 teams in, 1 spot remaining. That spot will go to the winner of the Kansas City Chiefs LA Raiders game. And other scores to bring you up to date on as we round out this half here. The Browns comfortably over the Seahawks today, 35-9. In Cincinnati, the Bengals came back from 17 down to ease by the Eagles 33-30. And in Indianapolis, the Colts close out their regular season with a 1-point victory over the Buffalo Bills. More Doctor's Halftime after this.
Well, we get ready for the start of the second half on Christmas Eve in Denver. From all of us at Fox Sports, we wish you and yours a very happy holiday season and a great new year. This is the most confused being in the state of Colorado. Polar bear, I mean, it's 50 degrees plus. 59 at the start of the day. It's not cold at all. He can't take that coat off. Time now for our MCI Proof Positive replays.
Again here, Joe, you've got the motion by Haynes and the crossing by the receivers. It put Ben Smith into the state of confusion and leaves Michael Haynes wide open. Watch the cross here. Haynes just breaking underneath early, blocking Smith out. And then late in the half, again, you see the New Orleans Saints passing game is on. Denver's pass defense is off. Small across the middle. Irv Smith with the block on Atwater, and then Small just accelerates past the rest of the bunch for the touchdown.
Well, from Tim Green and myself, we certainly wish you a great holiday season and a wonderful new year. I think it's important to bring up again what we talked about at the start of the day. This New Orleans Saints offense and their entire team, we talked about they need to add some bodies on defense to get over the hump, get to that next level. But this offense and this team is a team that will be dangerous next season.
Yeah, I think so. Again, I bring up the Dallas Cowboys the year they were 7-9, and we got the feeling yesterday that this was a team that was excited about next season. This was a team that's looking forward to 1995, whereas the Denver Broncos, I think, are more looking forward to the end of 1994 and just getting this season behind them.
It might be, I don't think it's a stretch to say right now, the New Orleans Saints are closer to where they want to be than the Denver Broncos.
Well,
the
they
Denver
are.
Broncos, even though they will end up with a better record this season,
Right.
I really honestly believe that the Broncos have a lot more to do than the Saints
And
team.
you know what I think it is, Joe? I think it's that if you think about the mountain analogy that everybody uses, the Saints are halfway up it and they feel like they're climbing. Denver has been on top, and they don't know right now whether or not they've been knocked off it and they're going to go all the way to the bottom, or they're knocked off and they're going to regroup and step back up to the top. So they're more in the state of confusion, as you said, than the New Orleans Saints, who are focused, who are moving in one direction. I guess it'd be tough to move in two directions, but they're moving in one direction that's positive and upward, and they're all together with it.
Morton Anderson getting ready to kick it away. Glenn Milburn back deep for Denver. The Saints leading 17-6, and the second half is underway. Milburn from his 5. Brought down by Joel Smengi. Right outside the 20-yard line, down to the 21. There's Joel Smengi.
Well, Smengi's a big body in there, and he takes on Clark and does a nice job of fighting his way around Clark and getting his hands on Milburn. You know, when you're a special teams player and you're out there, a lot of times it comes down to a wrestling match. You're hand fighting a guy, and it's body position one-on-one.
They spot the ball at the 22, and on first down, that will draw a flag. Carl Lee jumped over the back of Shannon Sharp, and that'll be pass interference.
And I don't know if Shannon Sharp's more upset because of the interference or because it cost him that 5 yards that he needs to put himself over 1,000 yards.
Interference by the defense, number 39. Automatic first down.
Give you a look at the numbers from the first half. Rushing yards, not much going on.
That's a quick look, Joe.
That is subliminal. Subliminal statistic look. Yards rushing way down, yards passing way up. Jim Everett up over 190 yards. For a little longer look, here it comes again as Shannon Sharp pulls in his first catch of the day.
And you see the total yards heavily in favor of the Saints, twice as many total yards, and then the turnovers, you know, being equal. So there's pretty much the difference. The Saints just getting much more out of their offense.
And the Denver Broncos, after receiving a turnover, little inside flip to Milburn. He is wrestled down by Wayne Martin. The Bronco offense in this game has not been able to punch it into the end zone, something that has killed them all year long.
Yeah, well, it kept them from getting in the playoffs the past 2 weeks. This does not fool Wayne Martin at all. He blows by his guy, gets into Habib, throws him down, and then he's just right on top of Milburn. You know, Wayne Martin really is a force on the interior line. When you see him toss a 300-pounder and make the play in the backfield, and he makes it look easy.
Loss of 3. 3rd and 13, and Millen overshoots Anthony Miller. by plenty. And some of the Boo Birds, even on Christmas Eve, start to gather here at Mile High Stadium. This is a frustrated Denver Bronco crowd.
Yeah, Anthony Miller was angry on that. He thinks that somebody slowed him down on that play. He wanted a flag.
Darryl Mitchell is back deep to receive this punt from Tom Ruin. Not Tyrone Hughes, who suffered a bloody nose in the first half. Mitchell from his 21. Breaks a tackle, a flag on the play, and he's brought down at the 27-yard line. 53-yard punt, and Tom Ruin has had a strong day, the punter for the Broncos. But again, a flag on the play, and we'll check the marker. Ed Hockley is our referee. The New Orleans Saints offense will take over. They lead 17-6. Opening minutes of the second half. And a player is down for Denver. Richard Harvey, a backup linebacker. J.J. McCleskey limps off the field for New Orleans.
Double foul on the play. An ineligible receiver downfield by the kicking team, number 57. By rule, that penalty is declined. There was also an illegal block in the back by the receiving team on the return, number 56. That penalty is enforced, 10 yards. Receivers keep the ball, first down.
So the block in the back will cost the Saints 10 yards, and they will set up at their own 14-yard line. Timeout on the field. Harvey up and moving to the sidelines. The Saints have the ball and the lead.
Fox NFL Saturday is brought to you by Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper is just what the doctor orders. By Pringles, so fresh, once you pop, you can't stop. By Red Dog, bold yet smooth, and usually easy to drink. You are your own dog. And by Taco Bell, tacos, burritos, and nachos. Cross the border.
Are you ready? Is that Hank Williams Jr.?
No, that's not.
Are you ready for Christmas? He works for another network. Forget that guy. Hey, we made it on the big screen and on the Fox network. They're happy to be here. We're happy you're with us. The Saints have the ball, an 11-point lead. And a first down from their own 14. Quick slant, Torrance Small. Goodbye. Torrance Small in a foot race with Crockett. Brought down, maybe, finally forced out of bounds at the 30, and you wonder why they like him. He is tough to bring down.
Wow. But the Denver defensive players see the number 83, and they think this is a wide receiver. But he's not a wide receiver. He's 6'3", 200 pounds. He is a wide receiver, but he's not. He's bigger and stronger. So you can't arm tackle him. You can't just put your arms on him, and you see two arm tackles there. And then he just keeps going, and then Crockett thinks he's got him, but he doesn't got him. And then it takes Elijah Alexander, the kind of ever-ready guy for the Broncos, to finally knock him out of bounds.
As the Saints come to the line, Jim Everett, we will tell you, calls a timeout. He has just set a New Orleans single-season record for passing yardage, 3,767. Congratulations. Mile High Stadium is awful quiet, and Torrance Small is one of the reasons why. What a day. 115 yards receiving. What a weapon he's become for Jim Everett.
And the way he's playing, Joe, the Saints are going to be tempted more and more to go to a three-wide receiver formation. Now and in the future, in 95.
Bates. Big hit from Dennis Smith.
Wow.
Pickup of 3, and Bates earned every one of those yards.
Man, if you're on the inside of Mario Bates's helmet there, you got to rearrange the furniture, because watch Dennis Smith coming right from the middle of the field and just smacks Bates. Helmet on helmet, knocks him sideways, puts him into the turf, right into the white big sideline there. That's heavy hitting. Dennis Smith is, if this is his last game, people are going to remember his trademark.
Everett sacked. Second sack of the day. This one belongs to Ted Washington. for the year. 2.5 sacks for Washington.
He just barrels right up through the middle of the formation. He's got 2 guys on him, Joe. He's got Ulenake and Jim Dombrowski on him. And sometimes when you got 2 offensive linemen on one guy, it's like moving the couch up the stairs at your brother-in-law's. He's got one side, you got the other, and nobody carries their share of the weight.
3rd and 13. Everett hangs in, throws high, caught by Early, but short of a first down. Good coverage downfield by Ronnie Bradford. And the Saints are forced to try a field goal. Ronnie Bradford, second-year player from Colorado, just up the street. Played collegiately up at Boulder. Morton Anderson will try another. Barnhart the holder. 43-yard try for Anderson. Blocked. Everyone stays away, and the Denver Broncos will have good field position. The score remains 17-6 as Anderson's try is blocked by the Denver Broncos. Shane Dronette, part of it. Big number 99, 6'6", 275.
Right up the middle of the screen. He gets his shoulders turned sideways and then leaps. Times it just perfectly. That's the way you can block a kick. You turn your shoulders and accelerate. You get into the gap, you get some distance, and then you have to time it perfectly. You have to leap, and you have to have a pretty good vertical leap. Something unusual for a big defensive lineman to have.
Clark trying to bounce it outside, breaks 1 tackle. He blew right through Turnbull and picked up 3. The Denver offense stuck in neutral.
Well, they've got to forget the run game, Joe. They've got to just go to the air. That's what Denver does. And, you know, part of the problem that they've had all season is their philosophy in the passing game is to send 5 guys out into the pattern and keep only 5 to block.
Clark out of the backfield. Lowers his shoulder and brought down right at the first down marker. It's a busy day in the Central Division of the NFC. A McDonald's game break. Here's James Brown.
All right, Joe, Green Bay is headed for postseason play thanks to its victory today over Tampa Bay and the surefire hands of Sterling Sharp. 1 of 3 touchdown catches on the day for Sterling. Green Bay wins it big over Tampa Bay, still with a chance at winning the NFC Central title. Back to Denver, Joe Buck and Tim Green.
Thanks, JB. Well, they will measure for the first down. Our score is 17-6. New Orleans out in front. It's a first down for Denver. You and I have talked about it, Tim. The Green Bay Packers, although they struggled to get into the playoffs, now they're in. That's the kind of team that could upset either Dallas or San Francisco.
Well, they really could, because they started out with the best defense in the league in the first half of the season. Then their defense went south. Their offense really picked it up. Brett Favre looks phenomenal, and now their defense is starting to play again. If they get both elements together, they can go a long way in the playoffs. But I don't think anybody can beat San Francisco.
On first down, Millen throws to Reggie Rivers out of the backfield.
And this is exactly what the Denver Broncos must do, Joe, if they're going to win this game. Forget the running game. Replace the running game with the short throws to the running backs if you want to play it safe.
Pickup of 5 as Reggie Rivers was forced out of bounds by Lumpkin. That'll bring up a 2nd and 5. Clark pushes it forward for a first down at the New Orleans 45. Wayne Martin there to make the stop, but not before. Clark picked up 6. We've seen a lot more of Reggie Rivers in the backfield for Denver here in the second half, as opposed to Glenn Milburn, who did not have a good first half. It's Rivers and Clark in the backfield now. Fake handoff to Rivers. Big rush. Big rush. Warren can't hang on. Millen on the run. Inside the 40 and down at the 37. Frank Warren missed a sure sack. And Millen gets it down to the 37-yard line. Shades of John Elway.
That was a scramble that Elway, I'm sure, would be proud of. Warren comes absolutely untouched. Again, another flaw in the pass protection. Millen just does an excellent job, gets the stiff arm on his face, says, here, take a little of that, pushes his face in the ground, and then just runs. You think he's going to slide? Nah, he's going to get everything he possibly can. When you're a backup quarterback, you lay it all out on the line.
Second down and 2, and Clark with a first down carry. Well, Hugh Millen is a guy that's playing this game for a contract for next season.
Yeah, that's right, because he's on a one-year deal. Look at him. I mean, grass everywhere, blood. His jersey's hanging out. He looks more like a lineman than he does a quarterback. You know, he is a tough guy, Joe. When he was up in New England with the Patriots, the starting quarterback up there, when they were so dreadful, he was behind the worst offensive line in the history of the NFL. He used to get shell-shocked, but he always popped up and kept going. He's tough.
Rolling to his left. Brought down from behind by Ronaldo Turnbull.
I know Hugh Millen is excited about the way he scrambled out on that other one, but he does not want to make a steady diet of scrambling. Because, again, even though he looked like Elway, he's not John Elway. He doesn't have Elway's feet or speed.
Turnbull with his 6th sack of the year.
There's John Elway. You know, John Elway has had this franchise on his shoulders. He has carried the Denver Broncos, and he is a guy, Joe, who will be in the Hall of Fame. I think the absolute day, the first year that he is eligible for the Hall of Fame, you will see him in there.
We have a bit of a delay, and equipment timeout as Hugh Millen tries to strap his shoulder pads back on.
Yeah, well, he's all banged up. His pads are falling off. His jersey's coming out. Sweat, dirt, blood, everything. You know, it's not something you want your quarterback to have to deal with. But if he does, Hugh Millen's as good as anybody. He's as tough as any of them.
Second down and 13. Little screen pass to Reggie Rivers. Good work to bust the blocking. Nice effort by Rivers. Vince Buck was there to make the stop. Vinnie Clark broke through the wall of blockers and foiled that screen pass.
Yeah, Clark and Turnbull were all over that screen. It really had no chance, because when you've got the 3 blockers out there in front, you can't let a defender split the wall. And you see it here. It's a nice play selection. Now, you see the blockers, you see the 3. There's the 3 right there. Vinnie Clark breaks up through the middle of it, gets up on the outside. Turnbull read it. He was there. And then Martin had time to come back, get into the picture, and make the tackle.
3rd and 13. Millen can't get away this time. Wayne Martin, another sack, 10 for the year. So just when you think Denver's moving it down the field and getting back into the game, they start losing yards and they have to punt.
And this is why people have been complaining about Denver's offensive line. And you see him here. He goes right through Habib, and you see the mix up there. Again, did you see Habib and Wydell, 79 and 75? Those guys ran into each other and didn't get a blocker on Martin. Again, Joe Buck, that tells you that there's a mix-up in the formation.
Bruins punt heads into the end zone as Darryl Mitchell let it slip over his head. 4 sacks today for the Saints defense. New Orleans out in front by 11. We're here at Mile High Stadium in Denver. In Los Angeles, a sold-out Coliseum. The Kansas City Chiefs trying to make it into the playoffs. The winner of this game goes to the playoffs in the AFC. Kansas City not only leading by 11, but moving in for another score. Here the Saints are out in front, 17-6, and Everett throws. He finds his man, Quinn Early. Brought down just across the 25-yard line, a pickup of 6. Mike Kroll there for the stop. Hard to believe it just took a 7th-round draft pick to bring Jim Everett to the New Orleans Saints. We get word that the Kansas City Chiefs are now up on the Raiders 17-3. Mario Bates, a pickup of a couple. And that will leave New Orleans with a 3rd and short. 5.5 minutes left to play in the 3rd quarter. The Saints with the ball and an 11-point lead and the edge in the time of possession. 6 defensive backs check into the game for Denver on 3rd and 3. Everett rolling. Everett will try to run, and he comes up well short of a first down. Jeff Robinson there to force him out of bounds. Willie Oshedin also there for the Broncos. And time for the Saints to punt.
Well, that play, Denver sent the blitz, and they had the coverage. That's been the problem with their blitzes as of late this season. When they've sent the guys, they've been blocked out, and then they've lost the coverage. That time, that was a very well executed blitz by the Broncos defense.
Milburn from inside his 20. Brings it out across the 25, down at the 28. Tyrone Leggett there to make the stop. So the Broncos again have the ball after a 46-yard punt. The Denver offense has to get busy. Well, Carl Mecklenburg is playing his last game today after a tremendous career here in Denver. A 12th-round draft pick from Minnesota, Mecklenburg went to 6 Pro Bowls in 12 years and helped lead the Broncos to 4 Super Bowl appearances. A big day in the life of Carl Mecklenburg. You know, some memories are shooting through his head.
And you know what I'll always remember about Carl Mecklenburg is the way he tackled. He always tackled quarterbacks and running backs and receivers up high. He had that big, strong upper body, and he just wrapped guys around the shoulders, and he had the strength to bring them down.
Hand off to Rivers, little flea flicker. Complete. Derek Russell forced out of bounds inside the 41-yard line. Russell's first catch of the day, good for 32 yards.
You talk about the misdirection. It's a classic misdirection. The run and everything flows that way, drawing the defense. Boy, you know, Spencer did a great job just to stay as close as he did to Russell. And if Russell had kept running, if he had a little bit more speed, he goes all the way to the end zone.
Millen now throws over the middle, incomplete. Shannon Sharp, the intended receiver. Shannon Sharp with only 1 catch today.
Yeah, this is a frustrating day for him. He wants to break that 1,000 mark. He said it's like a baseball player who's hitting 299 and you want to break 300. It's an exclusive club and he wants to get over it. Now he only needs 4 more yards to do it.
On 2nd and 10. Nearly intercepted by Smengi. He was underneath. Vinnie Clark was over the top. Anthony Miller, the intended receiver.
Well, the Saints blitzed Hugh Millen, and he read it wrong. He did not see Smengi, and he tried to deliver that ball hot to Anthony Miller. Watch, you see Mills coming. You see James Williams, 90, coming. He feels the heat, and he delivers that ball. He did not see Smengi.
3rd and 10 now. Denver 1 out of 9 on 3rd down conversions today. Again, Millen forced to scramble. Throws on the run, and he finds Derek Russell. And a Denver first down. 13-yard completion to Russell.
Well, we've seen Hugh Millen move this offense, Joe, and he gets them going, and he's made some big plays and some scrambling. He's improvised a little bit. But so far, again, they just have not been able to do anything once they get down on this end of the field.
Inside handoff to Milburn. Outruns his blocking and out of bounds at the 7-yard line of the Saints. 20-yard run for Glenn Milburn.
Well, watch the block by Nylander. Watch him pull out and lead. This is every offensive guard's dream. He's got the little guy. Again, he puts his helmet on in numbers of Vinnie Clark and not only knocks him over, but buries him in the turf.
Another fantastic block on the play. Tony Kimbrough, one of the wide receivers. Clark brings it down inside the 5-yard line. Well, here are the Broncos inside that quote-unquote red zone. Less than 46% of the time this season, they put the ball in the end zone. Second down and goal from the 4.
Once again, Shannon Sharp is not on the field.
Clark, touchdown, Denver. Clark in from the 4-yard line behind Waddell, Habib, and Scrafford. And a New Orleans player is down. Can't get a good look at who that might be. Could be Vince Buck. Surrounding the player, so it's tough to get a look at the number.
Let's take a look at Dave Waddell and the block that he makes to open this hole up. You see him on Frank Martin there, gets into him, drives him, throws his hips. Nice job by the interior line of the Broncos.
And it looked like it may be Sean Lumpkin, 46 instead of 26. It was down in the play and now being helped to his feet. It is indeed Sean Lumpkin.
You know, part of the problem, people have been criticizing this Denver Broncos offensive line. But I think more than anything, part of their problem this season, and when they have been ineffective, it's been because of execution. Not a lack of talent, of size, of strength, of physical toughness, more than anything, like you saw before when they gave up the sack. You see the mix-up. You see the bad pass protection. You see the unblocked defensive lineman coming. When these guys get their body on the other body, they can make it happen.
The Broncos will go for 2 here to try to cut it to a 3-point game. 2:46 left in the third quarter. Fake inside handoff. The shovel pass to Shannon Sharp. Sharp's second 2-point conversion of the season. The Broncos now 3 of 8 in that category and now trailing New Orleans by only 3.
You think Hugh Millen is a tricky character? Watch him here. Look at the misdirection here, and he just shovels it right over Turnbull. Shannon Sharp for the touch.
The 2-pointer, and it's a 3-point game. The Denver Broncos pull to within 3. The touchdown run by Clark, the 2-point conversion, little shovel pass to Shannon Sharp, and Jason Elam ready to kick it away with Darryl Mitchell back deep. Mitchell from his 9. Darryl Mitchell brought down at the 24-yard line by Deion Strother. And we'll take you back to the touchdown run by Derek Clark.
Here it's just Waddell, 79, opens it up, pushes Frank Warren out of the way. So you see the Broncos using the push, and then on the 2-point conversion, they use the trick play. With the motion left, Sharp comes right, Millen flicks it. Turnbull tips it, but Sharp uses that athleticism, the concentration of the receiver that he is, and pulls it in for 2.
The Saints leading 17-14, have it 1st and 10. Everett over the middle, incomplete to Irv Smith. Irv Smith has had a big day. The Saints are without Wesley Walls. A big pickup, a tight end who is out with a separated shoulder.
Yeah, well, once again on that play, Irv Smith is getting off the line of scrimmage. He's getting himself between the linebackers, which he does very well. He's tough to cover, and he just dropped that pass.
Before that last incompletion, Everett had thrown 10 complete passes in a row. Now 2nd and 10. Derek Brown in motion. Everett over the middle, finds Small. Torrance Small. Torrance Small is 2nd of the day. 75 yards, and the Saints add to their lead.
I said it earlier, Joe. The Denver defense lives with the blitz. They die with the blitz, and they died with it again. They sent their backers. They weakened their pass coverage. And if you're going to do that, you have to make sure that you've got some great man-to-man cover guys to cover up those hot receivers on the slant.
And again, it's Torrance Small in a foot race with Crockett. This time, Small wins it. How about the day for Torrance Small? 5 catches, 190 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Did I say a $10 tie? Heck, he's at least a $25 tie.
$15 bump up from Tim Green. Time for Morton Anderson to tack on the extra points. He's been perfect all season. And the Saints again lead by 10. 24-14 as Everett finds Torrance Small across the middle.
Well, Crockett just gets beat to the inside. He's got to stay inside on Small. Small uses that strength and the size, pushes him out of the way, breaks the slant, and then beats him not only physically, but beats him with the speed. And I told you about the blitz. Watch Mecklenburg coming from the outside. He puts the wood on Everett. So Everett pays the price. But once again, I told you before, the notion that you can shake Jim Everett and take this Saints offense apart by putting hits on him is an old one. Heck, Torrance Small's run so far today, he needs oxygen.
Well, we are in Denver.
And still, those wide receivers are lean guys. They can usually run forever.
What a day for Jim Everett. 343 yards. He shattered the single season yardage record by a passer of the Saints, breaking the former record held by Archie Manning. And he has had a fantastic day for a guy who didn't practice all week.
Yeah, well, his elbow split open. Russell Maryland from the Cowboys on Monday night knocked him out of bounds, hit his elbow on the turf, split it open. And I mean, I guess Jim Everett, you'd have to think he's almost tempted to send Russell Maryland a bouquet of flowers or something to thank him.
One other note after that touchdown catch, Torrance Small has had the 2nd best day of any receiver in New Orleans Saints history, behind Wes Chandler, who had 205 yards in one game, and Torrance Small only 15 yards away from that. Anderson's kick taken by Milburn inside his 5. Brought down across the 35 outside of the 37-yard line by Joel Smengi. Tonight at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, ride shotgun with the men and women of law enforcement and find out for yourself what it's like to patrol some of the meanest streets in the nation. Check out the real-life police action on a full hour of primetime cops. And if they get away, Fox follows that with America's Most Wanted. That's all tonight right here on Fox.
If they get away.
Then they're on the America's Most Wanted list. First down for Denver, down by 10. Incomplete. Anthony Miller, the intended receiver, and Vinnie Clark was right there with him.
And Millen takes another shot to the turf. I mean, he really has gotten beat up today and knocked around. miscue between him and Miller, or just a bad throw, and then his own guy backs right into him. Gary Zimmerman, a guy who normally just holds firm on the line. He's an all-pro left tackle.
Sam Mills coming on a blitz. The Broncos pick it up, and Millen finds Derek Russell. First down catch brought down at the 44-yard line of New Orleans.
Well, if you're going to bring Mills and you're going to bring him inside and vacate that middle, again, it's just like it is the other way, and Mills takes a beating from those big guys, but you see the opened up zone in the middle, and that enables Russell to break inside and get himself open.
Millen hanging in, finds Milburn. Good catch, brought down inside the 40. Pickup of 3. How about the day for Hugh Millen?
Yeah, sacked 4 times, hurried 11, knocked down 7, and 1 interception. You know, there's no wonder his pants are green and brown, and he's bleeding, and his jersey's coming out. He has to adjust his pads, and he's got dirt in his helmet. Merry Christmas.
2nd down and 7. Reggie Rivers. Little move to the inside. He picked up an extra couple of yards, and he may have picked up a first down. It depends on the spot. Jimmy Spencer was there to bring him down.
You know, the thing about Reggie Rivers is he's a jack of all trades. He may be the master of none, but he can run the ball, he can catch and then run with it, he can make the good catch, he can block and help in the pass protection. Heck, if Shannon Sharp goes down, he can even replace Shannon Sharp and play tight end. He's the kind of guy that's really important to a football team, and a lot of times it's one of those unsung guys.
He was good enough for a first down. Here comes Shannon Sharp back into the lineup. First down in Denver, down by 10, marching down the field. Millen stands back in the shotgun with Rivers and Milburn flanking him. First down, Millen to Sharp. Incomplete, and great coverage by Vince Buck.
Yeah, and then great coverage by Shannon Sharp, because Millen puts that ball right into Buck's hands, and then Sharp strips him. Here's Sharp. He's in the slot. He's going to break out. Russell breaks in, and then you see the ball right there. It looked like it was more thrown to Sharp, and then more thrown to Buck, and then Sharp just gets his hands and wrestles Buck down. Nice defensive play by Shannon Sharp.
2nd down and 10. Millen guns to the sideline, and he finds Anthony Miller. Out of bounds at the 20.
Well, there was some confusion between Jimmy Spencer and Leggett on that play, because Spencer thought that he could give Miller a big cushion, and he did, and Millen read it and delivered. Like I said, Hugh Millen is a smart quarterback, and if you make mistakes and leave things open, he'll find them.
This could be the last play of the 3rd quarter. Reggie Rivers out of bounds. That'll stop the clock with 1 second left in the quarter. A pickup of 2 as Turnbull forced him out of bounds.
You know, when you talk, Joe, about the holiday season and everything, a lot of people don't think of the officials, NFL officials, but last night, this group of officials paid a visit to the Denver Children's Hospital. They gave away some NFL things and brought some Christmas cheer.
It's the end of the 3rd quarter with a score. Denver trailing by 10. Start of the 4th quarter. Joe Buck and Tim Green with you. New Orleans out in front, 24-14, but Denver with a 2nd down inside the Saints 20. Good move, Shannon Sharp. Down to the goal line. Stopped short of a touchdown, but what a move to get inside the one, and Sharp is now over 1,000 yards.
You think he's a little excited? This is what Shannon Sharp does so well. Put him into the middle, let him put the move to get himself open, and then once he's open, he's tough to stop. He goes up high, he makes that Brett Favre type of leap, and doesn't get all the way in, but it's a heck of an effort, heck of a play, and puts him over that 1,000-yard barrier.
Ray Jacobs, one of the backup linebackers, checks into the backfield for the Broncos.
Wow.
As Clark carries it in for a touchdown.
The Denver Broncos have just found their answer to short yardage offense. It's number 50. Watch Ray Jacobs and Clark just hit it and open it up, and Clark comes over the top. Heck, he's looking around for more. Watch these two big guys. Up and over.
Ray Jacobs, the special teams player of the year for the Denver Broncos. Now part of the offense.
Yeah, I'll bet you the Broncos wish they'd figured this out about 3 weeks ago.
Elam packs on the extra point. And all of a sudden, again, we have a 3-point game. The Saints leading 24-21. Denver just will not go away.
Fox NFL Saturday is brought to you by Nike, who encourages you to participate in the lives of America's youth. By the new adjustable Maverick beard and mustache trimmers from Norelco. And by Levi, 100% cotton wrinkle-free Dockers. Pants so soft they shrug off wrinkles.
Well, this crowd here at Mile High Stadium, if they were quiet earlier, they are now back into the game. Denver down by only 3 after the touchdown run by Clark. Officially, Shannon Sharp is still 8 yards away from the 1,000-yard barrier, but with 14-14 left in regulation, you have to figure the 1,000-yard mark is just a matter of time. Elam getting ready to kick it away. Darryl Mitchell back deep for the Saints. And he'll take it from his 5. Darryl Mitchell collared by Harvey. Richard Harvey. Tyrone Hughes saying, better you than me, Darryl. Tyrone was the recipient of some of that earlier in the game. Richard Harvey levels Darryl Mitchell.
He's got the patent on that clothesline here. Watch him come in. He just hangs that right arm out there and brings him right down. And here's Jacob. He's not fooling around out there either. You saw him make the big block, and now he makes it. Well, he just goes right over the top.
Wade Wilson checks in at quarterback for the Saints, replacing Everett, and he hands to Bates over the left side, and a pickup of 6. This game is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the written consent of the Denver Broncos and the National Football League is prohibited. And there's the day for Everett, 343 yards. But he is out. Wade Wilson is in. Derek Brown in the backfield for the Saints. Muster lines up as an H-back. Wilson, his first pass of the day. Muster tips it to Irv Smith. And a completion out across the 40 and a first down.
Do you think Wade Wilson's been living right or what? I mean, it was a poorly thrown pass. Muster tips it and it goes right into Smith's arms. Look at here. He throws it behind, up over Muster, but Smith's right there.
The New Orleans Saints are 5-0 this season when leading after the third quarter, trying to make it 6-0. Wade Wilson, 15 out of 20 for the year. That last play good for 16 yards. Hand off to Brown. A lot of room. Gets around the corner and gets a first down. Time now for a McDonald's game break. A look in on the most exciting finish of the day. Here's JB.
All right, Joe, it was a 30-all tie with no time remaining between the Bengals and the Eagles. A 54-yarder by Doug Pelfrey, and Cincinnati wins it by 3. An emotional victory. That was their playoff game. The Eagles lose their 7th straight. We'll take you back to Denver to Joe Buck and Tim Green.
That was a first down carry for Derek Brown over the left side.
You know, for anybody that doesn't think that a game where the playoffs aren't at stake isn't going to be a good game, does not know the game of football, doesn't know NFL players and coaches, because these guys out here today and the Bengals and the Eagles out there in their game, they're still playing hard football. They want to play and they want to win.
Knowing that, Jim Everett checks out with a bruised right elbow. It was banged up coming in. He throws for 343 yards. A heck of a day. Now it's Wade Wilson on first down. Over the middle, Small. Good move, and he stretches across, looking for the first down. And, well, we talked about him all day. Torrance Small, I think we're going to be hearing a lot out of him in years to come.
Yeah, we're going to be hearing a lot out of him, and the Denver defense is going to be having nightmares for weeks to come. Again, Jim Mora likes to go back to what works. They've gone to this pattern all day, and really Alexander's tackle on Small is the best they've done against him when he's caught the ball in the middle of the defense.
A 200-yard day receiving for Torrance Small on 6 catches, and he's 5 away from a single-game Saints record. On first down, Brown brought down in the backfield, and a flag on the play. Shane Dronette wrapped him up, and there is a marker, a hold here against the Saints.
Holding by the offense, number 72. 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Well, I can tell you that Jim Dombrowski is a guy who holds often because I've played across from him, and he likes to use his hands. He's a big, stout guy, and he's strong, and he's physical, but he has no qualms whatsoever about grabbing onto a guy's jersey and wrestling him down if he thinks that's what it's going to take to get the job done.
Must do it well.
He does, yeah. He does, and he doesn't get caught that often either.
He got caught here, and it's 1st and 20. Wade Wilson trying to dump it off, finds Derek Brown. Breaks one tackle. Dronette brings him down at the 40, and another flag and another hold on the Saints.
Well, Shane Dronette is really playing some heads-up football, Joe. We've seen him in the backfield. He split the blocks and made the tackle. And then here he's dragging that screen down from behind. He read it all the way.
This will make it a 1st and 30.
Holding by the defense, number 77. 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Big Willie Rofe, that's Dombrowski's partner over there.
Well, Rofe said yesterday, here he is. He said yesterday that Dombrowski's been teaching him some things, and I guarantee you Dombrowski taught him that. See that? Had right a hold of him right around the collar.
He had a hold of Harold Hasselbach, and the 2 consecutive holding penalties makes it 1st and 30. Brown coming up from the secondary. Rondell Jones, a trip up after a pickup of only 2.
Heck of a play by Jones, and a gutsy play because he's running full speed and he committed himself, Joe. And Brown got outside of him, but Jones was able to clip his feet and bring him down. Yeah, you can play that 2 ways. You can either come up cautious and make sure you make it, or you can just run for the stands and pull out all the stops.
2nd down and 28. Wilson is brought down. A loss of 3. 3rd sack of the day for the Broncos. Harold Hasselbach, his 2nd of the year.
Yeah, and once again, Dronette is the guy who forces it. You see him 99 in the middle of the screen. He splits the seam and forces Wilson up right into Hasselbach. Hasselbach's going to have to buy Dronette at least a six-pack for that one.
With that sack, 3rd and 32. The Saints are 0 for 7 on 3rd down today. Brown make it 0 for 8. Time for the Saints to punt, and the holding penalties just killed that drive.
Well, I said at the beginning of the game that the New Orleans Saints had the emotional edge coming into this game. There is no emotional edge right now, Joe. It's just NFL football. Both of these teams, they know it's a heated up battle, and they both have played hard, and they both want to win it. They want to win it badly.
Tommy Barnhart back to punt with Glenn Milburn waiting back at his 10. Flag on the play as the ball is down around the 16-yard line. But again, a marker down on the play after a 32-yard punt. And this is against the Saints. So a possession just riddled with penalties. Consecutive holding penalties and now a penalty on the punt. And they'll likely make the Saints punt it again instead of decline and take the ball at their own 16.
Member of the kicking team illegally downfield before the punt, number 56. 5-yard penalty, repeat 4th down.
3 new team records for the Saints, and they all 3 belong to Jim Everett. Completion percentage, yardage. I mean, this guy had an unbelievable season, and what a game today. He has to leave with a bruised right elbow. Wade Wilson has taken over. Penalties marked this last possession. Wilson started to move the team a little bit, but the Broncos will get it back as Milburn waits back at his 10 to return his 4th punt of the day. Good snap. Milburn from his 10. The Broncos accepted the penalty, and it cost them 2 yards in field position. 43-yard punt, 3-yard return, and Smengi was there to bring down Milburn. The Broncos have the ball. 8:43 left to play, and they trail by 3. Give you a look at the NFC playoff picture. It is complete with regard to who makes the playoffs. San Francisco, Dallas, then the 4 teams from the NFC Central. What's still up for grabs is who wins that division and who hosts the wild card games. Minnesota will play Monday night against San Francisco. Detroit will play tomorrow night at Miami. If both lose, the Packers win the division. That ball's tipped and intercepted. That's Carl Lee, his 2nd of the day. Shannon Sharp, the intended receiver. He tipped it, and Lee comes down with it.
And that just kills you as a quarterback, and really it was Darian Connor who tipped it.
You're right.
On the pass rush, gets his hands up, and Connor having, really a tremendous season for the Saints. Another guy who they picked up in the offseason. Another throw-off from the Atlanta Falcons defense, him and Vinnie Clark.
Wade Wilson still at quarterback for the Saints. And the Bronco defense trying to keep New Orleans out of the end zone. It's a 3-point game. Derek Brown in the backfield for New Orleans. Nearly picked off, going the other way by Rondell Jones. Good coverage on Small.
Well, Rondell Jones just went for broke. You see him here in the middle of the screen. He makes the break on the ball, and either he makes this play. If he misses it, though, it's a touchdown. But he makes it.
Wade Wilson, 3 out of 4 for 37 yards. Second down and 10. Big rush. Pass is complete to Quinn Early. Big rush put on by Willie Oshedin. Wilson got it away and picked up 6 yards. Oshedin was in the face of Wade Wilson.
Yeah, you see him at the top of the screen there. He's working on Dombrowski. Dombrowski passes him off to Rofe. And once again, sometimes you put 2 guys on 1 defender, and each guy thinks the other guy is carrying the load, and the defender can come clean.
The Saints are 0 for 8 on 3rd down, and on 3rd and 4, Wilson to throw. Wilson is sacked. Ronnie Bradford is first of the year.
We've seen the Denver defense die twice with the blitz, Joe. This time they live with it. This is a huge play here because it stops the Saints. Even if they kick the field goal, Denver can come back and win it with a touchdown. So they take the risk, and this time it pays off.
Morton Anderson will try a 32-yard field goal try. Trying to make it a 6-point game. It is blocked.
Dronette, he got it again. 2 in 1 day.
Shane Dronette, 6'6", 275. His second block kick of the day.
Right in the middle, you see him there. You see how quickly he got off the ball, and then he leaps and times it perfectly. It is such an exact thing. That ball is coming so fast. And it's almost like a magic trick, sleight of hand.
Dronette gets Anderson again, and the Saints still lead by only 3. Well, Tim, special teams for the Broncos today has been outstanding.
Yeah, and you wonder about a team being dialed in. Nothing tells you more that they're dialed in than the special teams play and blocking 2 field goals, as Shane Dronette has done.
Now Milburn fumbles as he heads through the line, and the Saints recover. That has been a problem with Glenn Milburn, and he puts it on the ground, and the Saints recover. Joe Johnson comes away with it.
This Denver Broncos team it's like they're on a seesaw. The defense holds, and the offense turns it over. The offense goes down, puts together a nice drive and scores, and then the defense gives up the big play. It's just back and forth, and they can't hit it together. Take a look at the exchange. Millen puts it right into Milburn's, right in the breadbasket. Milburn just absolutely drops it. No rhyme, no reason to that one.
3rd turnover of the day for Denver, and Milburn has had trouble with the fumbles throughout his career. 1st down for New Orleans. They get another chance. Bates picked up 4. And again, Tim.
Left side.
Again, left side. And again, the Broncos can stay right in this game if the defense can keep the Saints out of the end zone after that blocked field goal.
You're right. You're right. Great point, because even though their backs are to the wall, they're in a bad predicament. If they keep them to the field goal, it's still a game. Because we've seen that Hugh Millen has the capacity to move the Denver offense down the field quickly.
Second and 6, Bates. Nothing. Just did get back to the line of scrimmage.
This Denver Broncos defense right now is playing really inspired football. I mean, they look so physical up front, and their linebackers are hitting the line of scrimmage so quickly and so hard that you know that some fires are burning in these guys' hearts. And I guarantee you, at the middle of it all, the center of it all, is 77 Carl Mecklenburg.
He hops out as the Broncos bring in 6 defensive backs on 3rd and 5. Great play by Ronnie Bradford. He saved a touchdown. And he keeps Denver in this game. A sack on the last possession. This time he breaks up a sure touchdown pass.
Bradford keeps his coverage, keeps the inside position, and turns and looks at the last second for this football and leaps, just tips it. Just right there. You couldn't do it any better than that.
And again, Morton Anderson will try a field goal. A 37-yarder. This time it's good. But the lead for New Orleans is only 6. The Saints out in front 27-21. The Broncos will get it back. We'll give you a look at Morton Anderson. He puts it through, and the New Orleans lead is only 6. City Hall. What a beautiful job of lighting up City Hall here in Denver, Colorado. And again, happy holidays to all of you from all of us at Fox. Thanks for joining us here this afternoon. It looks like we'll end up with an exciting final 5:45. Denver will get the ball back here. They trail by 6. And Morton Anderson, who just did a 37-yarder, gets ready to kick to Glenn Milburn. Milburn from his 10. Brought down at the 27-yard line. That's where the Denver offense will set up. Hey, don't forget next Sunday to spend New Year's Day with the NFL on Fox as our coverage of the NFL playoffs begin with the NFC wildcard playoff. The teams and the time to be determined. It's the NFC wildcard playoff right here next Sunday on Fox. Hugh Millen and the Broncos set up 1st and 10. Over the middle. Complete to Sharp. Joe Montana, we understand, has left the game. You're seeing there the score with a knee injury, but Kansas City out in front trying to become the last team to qualify for the playoffs. The winner of that game will go to the AFC playoffs. Clark across the 40. 1st down carry.
Well, Denver doesn't want to have to, they don't have to rush down the field. They've got plenty of time, 5 minutes. In fact, what they want to do is time it up just perfectly. Move the ball down the field with a sustained drive and not leave the New Orleans offense too much time to come back.
Shannon Sharp needs 1 yard to reach that 1,000-yard plateau. Millen is hammered. It drops incomplete, but Vince Buck just got up close and personal with Hugh Millen.
Yeah, and this is the second time we've seen Vince Buck come off of the edge completely untouched. I said it before, and I'll say it again. This is a flaw in the scheme. A running back has got to pick up Vince Buck. Somebody is missing an assignment, or somebody has not learned the proper protection, the proper assignment.
2nd down and 10 now. Millen airs it out. Miller wrestled for and intercepted by Vinnie Clark. Looking for blocking. Vinnie Clark hops out of bounds at the 36 with his 5th interception of the year.
Well, Vinnie Clark just used his physical superiority to Anthony Miller. He's a big, strong cornerback, and once that ball goes in the air, it's up for grabs, it's underthrown, and then Clark just outmuscles Miller. You see that there? That's a battle that Anthony Miller is not going to win. And it's a shame, too, because Miller had Clark beat. He had him beat with the speed, and if Hugh Millen puts a little more air under that ball, it's 6 for Denver.
Vinnie Clark, a 6-footer, 192 pounds, comes down with the 3rd interception of the day for the Saints defense. Millen today 21 out of 37 for 206 yards with 3 interceptions. Out in the flats, it's Mustard. Hit and dropped by Rondell Jones, a pickup of 4.
Well, Joe, at the end of the game, of course, you and I will select the Miller Lite player of the game.
Any thoughts?
Let's see who wins.
Jim Everett's got to be the leading candidate at this point, even though it's Wade Wilson at quarterback now. Everett threw for 343 yards while he was in there.
He's the guy. If Denver can pull it out, Dronette's the guy.
2nd down and 6. The Broncos bring it. Wilson will run it. Picks up a 1st down, and he's down at the 49-yard line. A pickup of 9.
The Broncos sent not everybody, but they sent a lot on a blitz. It's a run blitz. It's a pass blitz. There was only one hole on the right side of the line for the Saints. Wade Wilson saw it, he found it, and he exploited it. He knew that there was no help there. There were no linebackers left to bring him down.
Craig Nowitzki, a rookie from UCLA. Big number 60 checks in. Tackle eligible. Brown, nothing. Hit in the backfield by Dronette.
Dronette's had a big day, Joe. I mean, he's been beating up Willie Williams. He's been slashing and burning all day long.
With 2:46 remaining, the Denver Broncos have called a timeout, and they are left now with 2. We'll stay right here. Let's talk to you about the AFC playoff picture. We mentioned only one spot left open. The winner of the Raiders-Chiefs game will take it in the AFC, but Pittsburgh, San Diego, Cleveland, Miami, and New England are all in. What a job Bill Parcells has done with the New England Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Pittsburgh and the way they're playing, and you think that they're the favorite. But the way the Patriots have come on and the momentum that they've got makes you believe that they, like the Packers in the NFC, really have the ability on any given day to knock off anyone.
Charlie Waters, the defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos.
You know, you talk about free agency and the parity. I like the way so many teams have been in this playoff hunt so late in the season. I think it's great for the game of football.
2nd down and 10. That ball is dropped incomplete. Incomplete. Big hit by Ben Smith. But an incomplete pass as the receiver Small was bobbling it when he was hit.
Yeah, Ben Smith and Rondell Jones just put the crunch on Small. The ball's there, he goes up high, and there you see he does not have control of it. And he just gets hit by Smith and Jones at the same time. Nice defensive play, but not quite what they need. Hey, look, if they stop them now on 3rd down, they still are in this football game. Denver can still take it.
3rd and 10. The Broncos bring it. Wilson buys time. He'll try to run. A flag on the play as Wilson is brought down shy of a 1st down by Shane Dronette. But there's a flag on this play.
Yeah, Rondell Jones had Irv Smith down on the turf.
And this will be against Denver. Ed Hockley will give us the call.
Holding by the defense, number 31. Doesn't matter that the quarterback was out of the pocket because it's holding penalty, not illegal contact. 5-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
Rondell Jones is guilty, and that will give the Saints a much-needed 1st down. Rondell Jones has made a couple of big plays here in the 2nd half. This one hurt.
If you look at the bottom of the screen right there, you see Smith, and you see he puts his hand on his hip, and he pulls him, and then Smith goes down. Now, Wilson does eventually run the ball, but Wilson is still behind the line of scrimmage and can still throw it when Jones puts his hands illegally on Smith.
First down, and the give to Brown. Bounces outside. Hurdles Ben Smith and picks up a first down. And he's happy or sad? I can't tell with that reaction, but he picked up a first down and got out of bounds.
When he says it the way he said it and slaps the ball like that, it means he thought he could have beat him to the corner, beat Smith to the corner and gone all the way. That's what that expletive meant.
Or he's upset because he got out of bounds and stopped the clock. But I think it's the former.
Thank you.
But it is a first down for the Saints. Already within field goal range, they hand to Brown. Pickup of 2. The Saints lead here by 6 at 27-21. And the Denver Broncos will spend their second timeout of the half. That will stop the clock with 2 minutes, 19 seconds left. Tonight on a special America's Most Wanted, see the captures of 3 dangerous fugitives, including a criminal so notorious that even the mob had a contract on his life. John Walsh hosts a special edition of America's Most Wanted. Greatest captures tonight, right after Primetime Cops on Fox.
It's a heck of a deal on Fox, Joe. They get away from the cops, like you said, 3 of the most dangerous, and then they just pick them up in the next hour.
Now that's programming.
That's prime time for you.
A salute to Carl Mecklenburg, playing his last game in a Denver Bronco uniform. He said, now it's not 100% sure I'll retire. I mean, if they start throwing Gary Zimmerman kind of money at me, I'll come back. But he doesn't expect to get that.
Heck, I'd try to go back for Gary Zimmerman money.
Second down and 9. Brown brought down inside the 25, a pickup of 5. And the Broncos will spend their last timeout. The Kansas City Chiefs, the final entry into the playoff picture in the AFC. The Los Angeles Raiders are out, losing at home. Joe Montana left that game in the second half with a knee injury. But Kansas City is in. The Raiders are out. 2:12 left. And the next time the clock will be stopped will be at the 2-minute warning. How frustrating would it be for Shannon Sharp, Tim, to end this season if the Broncos don't get it back with 999 yards receiving this season? He's trying to get to that 1,000-yard mark.
It will very frustrating. That will gnaw at Shannon Sharp because, as he told us yesterday, it's only a number, but it's a number that he wants to reach. It's very important to him.
Ben Coates did that this year for the New England Patriots. Sharp's trying to do it here in Denver. 3rd down and 4. Brown brought down short of a first down. He got only 2. Hit by Keith Burns, a rookie linebacker. Simon Fletcher also there for the Broncos. We're at the 2-minute warning. The Saints out in front here in Denver by 6. Well, from Tim Green and myself and all of our crew here with Fox, we wish you and yours season's greetings and a great new year coming up. Morton Anderson will try a 40-yarder. It's a 6-point lead. This would likely put the game out of reach if Anderson can hit. He's had a couple blocked today by number 99, Shane Dronette. Just did get it in. And the lead moves to 9.
Yeah, it's appropriate that Denver should fall without a reach of this game by just inches. Dronette almost gets it. Look at him. He's inches away. and then the ball just inches on or inside the goalpost here. You take a look at it, and of course you have to extend the line up. And I know it's not perfectly straight there, and then it moves a little. Well, well, you get the idea, right?
That looked like it went right over the top of that upright.
And the reason why I say it's appropriate is because that's how the Denver Broncos season has gone, Joe. They've always just been inches away one way or the other. One play here, one play there, losing critical games that they really easily could have won and realized the expectations they had at the beginning of this season.
Well, Tim, your choice for our player of the game?
Well, I hate to be a front runner, but of course the Miller Lite player of the game is Jim Everett. What a fine day he's had. What a fine season. And I think the way he's performed and the way this offense has come together bodes very well for this New Orleans Saints team in 1995. Look for them to be toe-to-toe with the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC West next year.
There's Jim Everett. What a day. 343 yards passing for Everett. And he has set a new Saints single-season record for passing yardage, breaking the record previously held by Archie Manning. Milburn brought down at the 15-yard line by James Williams and others. Now, for Denver, you've got a press conference coming up after the game. Who knows what that regards? Pat Bowlen, the owner here, wouldn't talk to us about it before the game. Wade Phillips, of course, wondering what is to come. They've got the team here, the Broncos, wanting to get into a new stadium. Their lease here at Mile High Stadium runs through 2018, but they'd like to be in a new stadium in 4 years. That's still up in the air. A lot of question marks here in Denver. Millen back to throw. They get it to Sharp, and Sharp has now gone over the 1,000-yard mark this season. So if nothing else, with this last possession, Shannon Sharp is over 1,000 yards, 1,006 to be exact for the season. He and Ben Coates have done that this season. Cedric Tillman makes the catch out across the 45-yard line. The Broncos are left with no timeouts. They trail by 9. 1:14 and counting. Flag on this play as Millen airs it out. Miller wide open, can't stay in bounds, but a flag on the play. And this will come back. A delay of game call here against the Broncos, which will negate that pass completion to Anthony Miller.
There was no foul on the play. The 12th man got off the field before the ball was snapped.
So now they'll pick up the flag and we'll go back down to the other end of the field. Everybody had moved back into Denver Bronco territory. Now they pick up the flag. And the Broncos will have the ball inside the Saints 6. Well, this game's not over.
No, it's not. I mean, you know, almost everybody's gone, but a score, a quick score, and hey, an onside kick. Stranger things have happened.
First and goal from the 6. Corner of the end zone. Off the left hand of Anthony Miller. .101 left in regulation. The Broncos still fighting. They will not go away. 2 tight ends set. Sharp and Evans. Millen 24 out of 41 today for 285 yards with 3 interceptions. He'll throw again. He's rushed. Gets rid of it. And it drops incomplete. Nearly picked off by Lumpkin. Derek Russell, the intended receiver.
Well, Hugh Millen did the smart thing on that play, even though it could have been picked off, and he rushed the pass. I mean, it's all or nothing here. It's going to take quite a bit. And watch him here. I mean, he does a great job of just squirming and not getting out of Martin's reach, but just getting that ball off and taking a shot at the end zone. Hey, they've really got nothing to lose.
Now 3rd down and goal. Incomplete. Sharp, the intended receiver, and he claims he was interfered with.
Well, Sharp was supposed to break inside on that pass, and he couldn't because Vince Buck had the body position, and Buck just was not getting out of his way.
Fourth and goal. 51 seconds left. Broncos down by 9. Millen, heavy rush, throws it up. Sharp, touchdown, but a flag on the play. A flag on the play as Millen somehow is able to get it to Shannon Sharp in the back of the end zone.
It looks like it's going to be against the Saints.
Defense number 97. The penalty is declined. Touchdown.
The face mask is declined, a touchdown, and this, what an effort by Millen.
Yeah, it's Turnbull. He's coming around the outside, and you see him, he just gets his hand up and on Millen's face mask. You're right, what a great effort by Millen and a great effort by Shannon Sharp. I mean, Millen just takes that desperation shot, and he does it wisely. He puts it up, he puts the ball up for grabs, and he knows that Shannon Sharp is the kind of receiver that can beat people in that situation. He can out-jump them, he can out-muscle them.
Now Sharp is down in the back of the end zone. Shannon will not go to the Pro Bowl this year. He will have surgery on both ankles, so he will pass on the Pro Bowl. You wonder if that's the problem or if it's something else as they tend to Shannon Sharp in the back of the end zone.
Well, either way, when you talk about his injury, I think that it's fascinating. I said to him yesterday, your team was 0-4 and you were hurt, and you said that's why you didn't have surgery. What if you were 4-0? He said, if we were 4-0 and things were going good, I would have gotten the surgery. I would have had my ankles fixed. But when things were bad, I did not want to be a guy that bailed out.
You get a look at the 1,000-yard tight end since 1970. Shannon Sharp, part of that group. Winslow, coach this season, and some of the other great names. And now Elam will try to tack on the extra points. That was Sharp's 4th touchdown of the year. The extra point is good, and it's a 3-point game, and this will come down to an onside kick try. 44 seconds left. And the New Orleans Saints now lead it 30-28. Just a 2-point game with the extra point, and heck, this game is far from over. But Denver, no timeouts remaining.
No timeouts. They'd have to do it and do it fast. But once again, Joe, Hugh Millen has shown that absent turnovers, he can move this offense quickly down the field. I mean, he's not. I mean, then you look at Elway on the sideline, and then you think, boy, if you could ever have Elway step in the 11th hour, here's a time where the king of all comebacks, you'd love to have him do it. But hey, I think if they recover this, you'll see Hugh Millen drive them down.
New Orleans out in front by 2 at 30-28. 44 seconds left, and the Broncos will try the onside kick. They line up to the near side of the field. Elam will kick it. And the hands team out to receive the onside kick for the Saints. Brad Muster comes away with it. The Saints will hang on will have a couple of snaps, and that'll be it. Brad Muster, who played a big part in this game, comes away with the onside kick.
Well, once again, it's apropos of this Denver Broncos season that it's just a little too short, a little too late.
Again, no timeouts remaining for Denver. Wade Wilson will kneel down. And the New Orleans Saints will move to 7-9 and finish the season 7-9. The Broncos will finish the season 7-9.
Well, Joe, whatever does happen with Wade Phillips, I really hope that people will remember, especially in the holiday season, that winning and losing is really not absolutely everything, and he's a fine guy, and he's got a family as well, and I hope that whatever happens, you know, people aren't too hard on anybody or any situation. That's just me. I'm kind of a softie.
It's all right. This is Christmas Eve. What the heck?
That's right.
But there is a press conference scheduled for after the game, and we have no idea what the press conference regards. We asked before the game, and we're denied permission to talk to Pat Bowlen. That's the last snap of the year for both the Saints and the Broncos, and each ends with a record of 7-9. Our post-game show coming up. JB and Terry Bradshaw, a Week 17 recap. That's the end of the game with our final score. The Saints 30, the Broncos 28. And as we say goodbye for the season, we'd like to thank the folks on our great crew who've worked to bring you some tremendous pictures and sounds all year long. Tim and I were very lucky this season to be put with the guys whose names you'll see, the guys and gals whose names you will see on your screen. And here they come. For Tim Green and the rest of our crew, I'm Joe Buck saying so long from Denver. Have a great holiday season and an even better New Year.
And welcome back to Hollywood for the Fox post-game show as we give you a rundown of all the NFL scores on the day. And Terry, we start off with the Giants looking for a victory, trying to get into postseason play, got the victory, but it doesn't no good because Green Bay wins.
Well, that's true, JB. You know, you look at Emmitt Smith standing on the sideline out with a pulled left hamstring. Aikman had a rough day early in the football game, 9 times in a row, or 9 plays, 5 times he finds himself on his back. Good job today by Dave Brown, the young quarterback for the Giants, as he finds Mike Sherrard on the crossing route, runs away from Robert Jones. The middle linebacker goes all the way as the Giants upset the Cowboys 15-10.
Yes, indeed. The Giants look very good, won their 6th straight. Dallas Cowboys did not look very impressive in dropping that one by 5. Okay, moving to Tampa Bay. Green Bay is in the playoffs thanks to a 15-point victory. Sam White looking for his 5th straight. Wasn't going to happen.
No, too much Brett Favre today, the young quarterback for the Packers, and Sterling Sharp, who had 3 touchdown receptions. This is his first one of the day. That was his 16th of the year. This is his 17th of the year, a 22-yard reception. Goes on to get his 3rd of the year later on as Favre and Sharp have phenomenal years. Favre, there's the dousing of the traditional Gatorade dunking for Mike Holmgren. Got to be happy about that.
All right, you still fired up. I know you love Brett Favre. Yes, indeed. Brett Favre and the Packers won it. 5-15. Absolutely you, moi, indeed. Green Bay in the playoffs still has a chance at winning the NFC Central title. Arizona was looking to get into the playoffs. Did not help its cause. The Cardinals are out. 4-point loss there.
Buddy Ryan, have to be concerned. One of the things the Falcons thought they could do, according to Kevin, whatever his name is, there's Burt Emanuel. That's down right. The sideline, 85-yard touchdown reception. What I was trying to say is the Falcons wanted to go deep, JB, up early. Now, after a 42-yard Gary Clark reception, The Cardinals elect to run it up in the middle with Moore. No good. Cardinals lose this football game, as you can tell. A very dejected Buddy Ryan.
And as you said, Buddy Ryan tried to run it in with 12,000 people on the line.
Kevin Gilbride, the former offensive coordinator for the Oilers, had been invited by June Jones to come down and help them prepare for Buddy Ryan's Cardinals, and that's what Gilbride told Jones to do. Throw deep, and they did get the 85-yarder.
Successful indeed, as Atlanta upends Arizona by 4. Okay, in Chicago, both of these teams are in the playoffs despite the Bears' loss. Patriots did win it by 10 points there. Right here in Los Angeles, the victory here goes into the playoffs. It is, in fact, the Kansas City Chiefs. They will be in the playoffs. The Raiders are out.
Hostetler back, picked off on the flat. As you can see, Mark Collins picks off returns at 70 yards for a touchdown, and this puts Kansas City up 14-3. Big day today, by the way, for Joe Montana, although he left the game in the fourth quarter, had a knee injury. Hostetler also left the football game. Vince Edmond came back, hit the big bomb.
Yeah, but not enough. A little too much, a little too little, a little too late. Kansas City wins by the score of 19-9. In San Diego, boy, what a back-and-forth game here. The Chargers finally pulled it out on a field goal. This is the one that did it with just a few seconds remaining. 37-34. San Diego now will get a first-round bye. And indeed, Bill Cowher's team, of course, the Steelers have home field advantage throughout the playoffs as well. Okay, other scores are passed along to you. Cincinnati picks up its third victory of the season with that 3-point win over the Eagles. That one was won with no time remaining. In Cleveland, boy, the Browns impressive by knocking off the Seahawks. So Cleveland will host a wild card game that next weekend. In Indianapolis, the Colts close out the regular season with the victory over the Bills. In Denver, well, it got to be close down the stretch, but the Saints close out the season with the victory. Their record now 7-9 with that victory there. The Rams and the Redskins, Washington wins only its third game of the season. In Houston, the Oilers pick up their second win of the season, that over the Jets. The Jets 5 straight losses to close out the season. So in the AFC, the picture looks like this. In the playoffs, all the spots have been decided now. Kansas City with that victory over the Raiders, the last team to round out the 6 over in the AFC. As we look on the NFC side of the picture, 4 teams from the NFC Central are all in. Minnesota can still win the Central with the victory over the San Francisco 49ers on Monday. Detroit looking to try to host if it wins tomorrow against Miami. Terry, one good day, buddy.
Merry Christmas,
Feel
JD.
all right? Hey,
Merry Christmas to everyone out there.
Merry Christmas to you. We will see you next week. Wild card time here on Fox.